Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Jason Hornsby, J Mals 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Endless, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Young Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So, another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. I've got to start before I start, right? I can't just start on the hour. Pre-show.
Well, yeah, true.
Anyway, good to have you. Wax.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I just said good to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back. I was worried. I haven't seen you or QE or anybody really for like almost a month. So I'm glad you guys are back.
Yeah, I was very ill.
That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's all right. I'm far better
Not
now.
one thing, it'll be another.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always something. Last year it was my teeth. This year it's my gallbladder. Next year it'll be something else. That's what getting old's all about, isn't it? There's always something going wrong. I remember some comedian describing it as getting downloadable content, DLC. That guy that was recently ridiculed for pirate software guy. He's saying you get to about 30, you wake up one morning and you've had a download. And it's a stiff neck download. You didn't ask for it. It just comes. Suddenly you've got an update. It's a creaky neck update.
It's funny, like, 'cause I'm 36 myself. I've never felt old yet, but I notice now if I like lay with my arm holding up my head on the bed or something, it takes me a second to get back up. I'm like, oh, this is new. I don't like it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Start making old man noises getting out of a chair.
Yeah, exactly.
But like when I was like 26, I could sleep on a center block and be perfectly fine.
Yep. Yeah, you're in your 20s and you think you're indestructible.
Age.
And you get to about your 30s and suddenly realise you're not.
Yeah. It's like that. What's that one comedian? I heard him say a joke. I don't even know who it was, but he said for like his 38th birthday, he sat on his balls and that was his birthday present.
Haven't encountered that problem yet myself.
Gallbladder issues. That sucks. No, I will say though, nothing's worse than tooth pain. That, like, for me, out of all the ailments I've ever had, tooth pain was the absolute worst. That worse than a kidney stone or anything.
Yeah, at various different points when I had a problem with my one tooth, which has now been removed, the pain went all the way to 10. As in, I can't imagine there being a more painful thing to experience. Do you know what I mean? And that was while the dentist was examining me. So he was poking around and suddenly obviously hit on whatever was there, an abscess or something. And I screamed, like, at the top of my lungs, involuntarily. Like, there was no, I didn't intend to do that or anything like that. It just happened. Suddenly I'm screaming. Now, with my gallbladder, that happened several times, but, you know, it didn't hit a 10. It was an 8 or a 9. It was very close to as painful as I've experienced, but, you know, more sustained. It wasn't he's poking it, then it's gone. You're at a 10 for a second, and then it's gone. You're just back to the level 3 or whatever you are. With my gallbladder, it was like a pain level of 8 or 9 while I'm sat there in paralysis, not physically being able to move or speak or look in a different direction without it hurting slightly more. Just holding my wife's hand going, am I going to die? I'm so scared.
Yeah, I remember I was having, like, when you were complaining about your tooth, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, because I had a toothache like 6 months before that. And then like a week or two after you were having your tooth issues, it ended up, I ended up getting another infection in my gum or something. And for like 4 days, like I literally did not sleep like a wink for almost 4 straight days. Like I was just laying there like in absolute. It's different because like a kidney stone's like extremely intense, but it's intense for a very brief period, and it's done. Whereas like the tooth pain, it just lingers and it's there constantly. It was horrible. I've never had a gallbladder issue, so I don't know what that's like. But do you have to get it removed?
Is it Dr.
Fortunately,
Vax?
no. Well, fortunately not, no, because it was an infection, so they gave me a load of antibiotics and then it went away. Or is in the process of going away. Let's put it that way. But no, it just...
That's good. Gallbladders are
something.
weak.
So I didn't know there was anything wrong. I mean, you get the general twinges and back pain. You just think, oh, it's just getting old. In spite of the fact that it's like specific to a shoulder or something. And in this instance, my wife had cooked up some fish and chips. I had 5 mouthfuls, and then I was just crippled, like literally in paralysis, could not move, screaming. I'm like, bloody hell, what's going on? I've got all these pains shooting through my groin and up through my chest, and I'm like, what's going on? So yeah, from then it's been like, I don't know, 2 or 3 trips to my local doctor and half a dozen trips to A&E, and an ambulance called out once.
You sound a lot better today.
Because the antibiotics have worked, basically.
Now, I just
it's
came up
funny.
with an
Like
idea.
if you had fish and chips, that makes sense because if you have gallbladder issues, if you eat something that's high in fat, your digestive system will have trouble keeping up with like the bile to digest it. So the fact that you had fish and chips and had the issue, that actually makes perfect sense.
I've got to be honest, just talking about this is making that particular area of my body hurt. So can we stop?
We don't have to talk
Is that okay? Literally, it's making it hurt.
That's enough.
I was thinking the opposite. You said your wife made it for you. Invite some ballers over and have a cooked fish and chips.
Yeah, I won't be doing that. I'm on a very low-fat diet at the moment. I mean, that has changed since getting a bit better. I've started reintroducing fats into my diet. Scary though it is, and it's fine. Like when I broke my fast, I broke it with cream because that's what they suggested you do. You're like, well, that's extremely high in fat, and I didn't have a problem. I mean, it was. I say I didn't have a problem. It was actually slightly painful. It just didn't paralyze me. You know what I mean?
There should be a warning. When you fast, do not break your fast with McDonald's.
Yeah, I said this yesterday. I did all that research. I'm like, it seems obvious to me, but I've not. Maybe you could call it fasting. But when I was in my teens and very overweight, I went on a very strict calorie-controlled diet, which was akin to fasting because it was so much lower in terms of calorific intake. And so the experience of having your stomach shrink and all the general side effects I was very familiar with. It was all very familiar. And therefore, when it was time to end, like into the 3rd day, or in day 2, I started looking up how's the best way to come out of this process to not only prolong the effects, but also to not reverse them or cause pain like you experienced, because that's the last thing you need. And all of the advice I got said the same thing. If you do it wrong, you end up ravenous, was the word they used, which is to say that you just end up stuffing your face twice as much because you're so hungry after the 3 days of fasting. So I'm like, okay, well, how do you counteract that? And their suggestion was start very slow, introduce some fats like olive oil or a bit of cream or something like that, just to start your metabolism going, but not sugars. So you're not kicking in your insulin immediately, and then slowly work up to a meal over the course of maybe 3 or 4 hours, which is exactly what I did with, like I say, a couple of creams in my coffee, and then salad, and then yogurt, and then, like I say, a few hours later, a normal small meal. Now I'm back to normal.
Yeah, but you're not. Listen, I know about it, but I had no idea. like breaking a fast at McDonald's, like a Big Mac meal, would be so painful. Somebody was telling me it's because, you fast for 3 days, your stomach shrinks a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're over there shoving a Big Mac down your throat. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, it would have been the same with anything. It's not just necessarily because it's a Big Mac. It's because of the quantity. It's just if you'd have overstuffed your face with veg, you'd probably have done the same thing.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, as I said yesterday, couldn't recommend it highly enough.
It's that pride thing, I've done it so many times before. I was like, I know how to do this. And everything in my mind was telling me, do not eat this Big Mac meal. I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, boy. I've never fasted again. That's how bad it hurt me.
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
So McDonald's prevented you from fasting.
Not just
probably their goal,
McDonald's,
man.
anything. I just had to just use my brain a little bit and not think with my stomach because I was so hungry. What are we doing today anyway?
This is it, Neil. I'm just glad we're back socialising.
Anybody hear about those people in Germany dying?
No?
They were all candidates for the same party. Is it the ADF or AFD?
Okay.
Oh yeah, they were like party members that got murdered or something. I heard the Charlie Kirk thing for me is taking over all the news of all this. But there's been a bunch of weird stuff going on this past week.
What's the deal? Just an entire party has been wiped out. How?
They broke their fast at McDonald's.
Yeah, that Charlie Kirk thing blew my mind. It's one of those videos where I wish I never actually watched it. I went on BitChute and saw the actual footage, and I'm like, because a lot of people,
Agreed.
especially us flat earthers, we like to auto hoax everything, but I don't. I don't know. I don't think that was acting. I think he really got popped in the neck, and I feel horrible because he's got a family that's pretty much the same age as my family. It's just so sad. Yeah, it's one of those things I just wish I didn't actually see. I mean, I wasn't even a fan of him for real. I've always known who he was, but just see someone die like that is horrible.
Max, you can't be influencing college students now. That is a no-no.
Well, the scary part is like, yeah, I'm naturally conservative anyway. I've always been spiritual and a Christian. I just tend to naturally lean towards the right, regardless of any political influence, just how I am normally. And I'm thinking, like, the things that I say or stuff that I believe is a billion times more offensive than anything Charlie Kirk's ever said. So that means, I mean, I'm just as prime of a target for saying the things I've said as he would be. So I'm thinking, like, we just murder everybody who says stuff we don't like now. I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah. Anyway, that's depressing.
They might start whacking us too. Flat Earth, it gets out there, it's too much. We might start disappearing one by one.
Man, for a second, I thought that's what happened when you guys all disappeared. Yeah.
You thought they whacked us, huh?
Yeah, I
So
thought
Vax,
Mossad kidnapped QE and Nathan.
so Vax, have you been over to politics? I know you're a big you're a big fan of that show, and they love you over there.
Yeah, it's funny. I was over there about 2 weeks ago. I haven't. I just the whole summer. I've really ever since the show here kind of went on hiatus for a minute. I haven't really been on Discord, but I went on the politics at like 1 o'clock one morning randomly. I just couldn't sleep, so I popped on there for a second to listen, and it was pretty much dead. And two of the people I've always had issues with, they're like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And they're all like super friendly with me, and Hey, help me argue with this Glober about something. And I'm like, wait, what? You guys like? What? No, I'm good. And I left. I think they've become really fragmented themselves. So I don't know what's going on with it.
That was the point.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on who's in there. Like that DJ dude. He had issues with us from day one, and you could tell, like
The
when you
Australian
first
kid.
popped in, how you treated. You're like, whoa, what the freak did I say? This guy's threatening to mute me immediately.
Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, I didn't do myself any. There's been a couple times where I've had a little too much drinking gone on there, and I was kind of. I've been obnoxious in there too, so fine.
I only go in there to be obnoxious.
But their server doesn't seem to. Well, I know they hop around from like 4 different servers now. They got politics and religion, something called the English Hub, and I feel like there's one more. So it's like you'll never get like I noticed now, like you'll never go into like one server where there's like 60 people like there was back around the holidays. Now it's like like 10 people on like 5 different servers. So it kind of I'm starting to wonder if they're starting to like kind of like fragment off into separate little cliques. But I don't know. What's up, Steve? I know Steve thinks the Charlie Kirk thing was probably a woman dressed up as Charlie Kirk with a ketchup packet.
Good
He
morning,
thinks there's
guys.
no trees.
Hello.
No comment. Welcome to the show. Somebody wrote a song
Stevie
about it.
Babes.
Hey, Neil, how you doing, brother?
You sound really good, Stevie. What are you speaking through?
Just my cell phone. Never switch.
Yeah, but you got one of those big cell phones from the '80s that like has a suitcase attached to it to charge the battery.
Exactly. I got a good receiver on it. They used to make things quality.
Yeah, nothing's made with quality anymore. Not for real.
Yeah.
Everything's
Electronic.
disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah, entropy's a bummer, eh?
Yes, it is.
Hey, you want to hear something? Listen to this. This will get you guys started.
I'm going to go no. No, I don't.
I said to somebody, a horizon is only possible on a flat Earth, on a flat surface. I got the reply, that is ridiculous. On a flat plane, we see forever. There is nothing that can physically form a horizon. It relies on conditions that limit our vision. On a sphere, the horizon is a physical location, geometrically. That's a problem.
That's the problem. Yeah. That's what you deal with, though.
It's not. It's not a physical
A problem.
location. It only exists in maths. It's on screen now, marked at S. In an orthographic view that you'll never experience in reality. But the misapprehension from our opponents is that there's a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. It's like they don't listen to the housekeeping questions. Cognitive dissonance.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They're not interested in listening to the housekeeping questions. They're interested in
No.
telling you there's a geometric horizon, in spite of the fact that it's been debunked for a considerable amount of time and is admitted by their own side to only exist in maths.
Yep.
It's like the black swan don't exist to them.
You cannot have horizon on the sphere.
No, you can't.
Because if you can, the guy yesterday was saying, but if you have curvature, then you don't call that horizon, you call that another name. That line, if it's curving, you don't call horizon. You will name it. That's something else. But horizon has the name, and that's something what is flat.
Yeah, it has to be axiomatically for it to be useful.
So what they say here is, but look, here's how it starts out. On a spherical Earth, the horizon exists because the planet curves away from you. As
It
you
will
move
be
higher
called
up,
horizon.
listen to the rest. As you move higher up, you see the farther before the surface drops out of sight.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is, how does anybody know?
They don't.
Even if they say something.
They don't. That's a begging the question fallacy. The horizon is
Right.
my sphere edge because Earth's a ball is a begging the question fallacy.
Right, but my thing is when you hear things like this or people say things like that, it's like, what are you talking about? You've never been on a sphere to make that claim. It's rhetoric.
Meanwhile, there's several trolls that have took it upon themselves to get in touch and defend how fugly Dave McKeegan is, and when they do, I rub their faces in the flat Earth measurements detailed in the form of surveying by Simon Dan, or elevation angle measurements taken by an incompetent, fugly Dave McKeegan, and then ask them why they're choosing to defend Dave's honour about how frigging ugly he is, rather than accepting and acknowledging how flat Earth gets measured. And they tell me it doesn't. And then I point out that, well, Dan's wrong then, when he accepts and acknowledges that for convenience, they measure it flat. And then they go and tell me, no, that's only on a localised area that we measure a flat Earth. It's called plane surveying. That's why we measure Earth flat. We're not living on a basketball. That's what they tell me. And then I quote them, as in, quote, how they've just told me we don't measure Earth flat, and then simultaneously told me we do measure Earth flat locally for convenience. It's called plane surveying. It's like, yes, so we measure Earth flat then. I really enjoy rubbing these trolls' faces in their own words when they come to defend how ugly Dave isn't. Really amuses me. I can do it for hours.
Can I just point out that Dave's only ugly locally?
Only locally ugly. Yeah? It's only measured ugly locally. Yeah, how much I want to scrape my own friggin' eyes out when I stare at Dave's fugly face has nothing to do with how flat Earth gets measured, though, has it? I mean, I can bleat and moan about how fugly men like Dave are a lot more popular than me, but that's just jealousy. I'm jealous of how a fugly scum like Dave has managed to become so popular. That's pure jealousy on my part. But how fugly Dave is doesn't change how flat Earth gets measured. By him. Or how incompetent he is when he sets up a tripod incorrectly. That doesn't change how the elevation angle measurements he did succeed in achieving were flat Earth proof. How ugly he is or how incompetent he is makes no bearing on how flat he measured Earth. Or our survey says Earth's measured flat always, without exception, locally and at all scales. Dave's fugliness doesn't come into that, does it? But Dave is very fugly. Like I say, scrape your own eyes out the back of your head kind of ugly. Nothing's going to change that. I mean, even if he spent millions on plastic surgery, he'd still be ugly.
You got Buck Sodbuster all upset about it.
Oh, Buck, bless! Meanwhile, pitch data proves Earth is a horizontal plane for elevation measurements off sea level. We got those from Buck Sodbuster. What's that, Buck? You're upset that I'm calling Dave fugly? He is fugly. Really fugly. Scrape your own eyes out, fugly. And Earth still gets measured flat by him. Oh, do you not like me calling him fugly? I'm going to do it more. In case you hadn't gathered, the fact that it's got a rise out of Dave means it will never, ever stop. I will perpetually call Dave the fugly monster troll that he is from here on forth. Because he doesn't like it, does he? Now, I don't like liars telling me that because a diagram shows a curve in something with a measured angle, it means that Earth's curved. That's just Dave being a disingenuous shitbag. Again, how friggin' ugly he is doesn't change how disingenuous a liar he is when he suggests that his curve angles validate a sphere Earth. Now, they're flat Earth elevation angles off a flat surface level. You fugly scum. And you're never going to hear the end of it, Dave. Yeah? Just how ugly you are will be pointed out by me because it's a fact. Ugly on the inside too when he lies about elevation angle measurements.
That's what I was just going to say. The ugly part is really on the inside, and it just displays itself on the outside.
That's right. He just looks like you'd want to scrape your own eyes at. No, that's nothing to do with how ugly he is on the... It just is physically repulsive to look at.
Well, Buck Sodbuster's got credentials now, Nathan. He's an engineer, and he has written programs for aeronautics.
Oh, really?
And he
I'll
knows
look him up,
about
shall I?
these
Shall I look
things.
up on the internet? Mr. Buck Sodbuster. No, you're a faceless, nameless troll coward. You don't seem to understand what you are, Buck. Yeah? What you are is a coward, a faceless troll. You're a nobody, an insignificant nothing. The only thing you've done of relevance was pass us the pitch data. You didn't produce it. You're not measuring off surface level, sea level, are you, Buck? Now, the NTSB is the real originator of that information, not a man going by a fake name. Who thinks he's an engineer? No, you're a wanker, a faceless nobody. That's what you are. A faceless nobody getting upset because he's got an ugly guru. Meanwhile, Earth's measured flat in pitch data.
Yeah, now that's the facts of the matter, and you can't get around that. They're indisputable.
Yeah. I mean, look. Surveyors use flat approximations for convenience. End quote, Simon Dan. Yeah, they do measure Earth flat. Simon Dan. What's that? You don't like me calling Dave ugly? Oh, right, okay. You don't like me saying or suggesting that he was dropped on his head? I'll take all that back. Yeah, I understand now that Dave was not dropped on his head by his careless mother. He's actually incompetent. He didn't know how to use an EQ mount during a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Alleged once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He displayed and demonstrated his incompetence. So no excuses, just dumb. Whilst measuring
That's
Earth
even
flat.
worse. Sorry.
Okay.
I said, geez, that's even worse. That's no excuses. At least you could say, I was dropped on my head. It's really not my fault.
Yeah, he could have used that as an excuse, couldn't you, Dave? You could have said, yeah, I've got an excuse. My mum dropped me on my head. That's why I couldn't cope with an EQ mount. Whilst measuring Earth flat. Oh, right, do you want to bleat about me calling you ugly? You ugly goit. You are ugly, Dave. Very, very ugly. But you also measure Earth flat. And you are incompetent. Don't ever forget it. Anyway, that's enough about it. Go on.
I heard a good quote from Mike Tyson today. He comes out with some winners. He was telling this guy, he goes, you got to know who you are first before you allow people to tell you who you are.
I got it written on my collar. Got a little name tag, just in case I forget. Now, I tell people who I am repeatedly when they come and tell me Earth isn't measured flat. After I take their own words and concessions of just how flat Earth gets measured by surveyors, I then rub their nose in my name with things like, my name is Nathan Oakley, I'm the one currently teabagging you. I'm typically responding to faceless cowards like Buck Sodbuster who don't give out their real name and will give out names like Bruce Wayne or Batman as their name. That's what I have to deal with. When I respond, though, I give my real name and stand by every single word I say. I mean it when I say I'd rather scrape the eyes out of my own head than look at Dave's ugly face. I mean that. My name's Nathan Oakley. Dave McKeegan's ugly.
Well, I say that because people try to tell me who you are. Right?
Sorry, they're
People
talking
try
about
to tell
these
me
people are your
you're a
opponent.
baller.
These people are your opponent who suggest Earth's a sphere, want to tell you about me, a man. Correct?
Yeah, like you got the perfect globe proof, and you're really a baller, and you're just doing this for the money. That was when I first came here. That's what they were telling me.
Yeah, you know what that's called? It's called wishful thinking. I hope Nathan's really a baller. Because the awful truth of me pointing out that Earth's measured flat by everyone, always, without exception, and then getting your own dumbass gurus like Simon Dan to agree with me and say, look, on a local scale of 50k, yeah, we do measure Earth flat, but that's only for convenience. When you hear that sort of stuff quoted by me, Nathan Oakley, you want to tell yourself that I don't mean it. That really I'm on your side. Yeah, that really I'm a boy. I'm not. But what I am is inconsequential to how Earth gets measured. And when Simon Dan, looked into how surveying actually gets performed, he conceded Earth is measured flat. For convenience. Now, the for convenience bit's bollocks. We just measure Earth flat because that's how it's measured. Always. Without exception. What's that? I'm a baller? No, I understand how flat Earth got measured to create your ball faith you think I'm a part of using your wishful thinking. That's what it's about. It's about discrediting the man. Nathan's not a good man. He said that Dave, the fugly troll, is fugly. Yeah, he is. Does that change how flat Earth got measured in the surveys? It really doesn't, does it? But if you can make it about me insulting a fugly troll, then it's about me, innit? Yeah? But when you come and say you're a bad man, you've called my guru ugly, I'll go, yeah, I did, because he is. Meanwhile, he measured Earth flat in Antarctica, didn't he? I mean, he was incompetent and couldn't manage a tripod. But he still measured Earth flat with elevation angles, unless you want to deny that they're angles. In which case you haven't got any Earth measurements. But when you finally come round to the facts of the Earth measurement Fugly Dave made, you'll appreciate just how flat Earth got measured by him, won't you? What's that? I shouldn't call him ugly? Oh, yeah, you bless. You grab that low-hanging fruit. Grab it. Both hands. And then when you do, I'll shove it down your throat with a heavy dose of flat Earth proof from your own gurus.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? You're giving it to them right from themselves, actually.
Which would you prefer to discuss? How ugly Dave is? Or how Dave measured Earth flat? Which is easier for you, ballers? Is it easier to call me out for calling an ugly man ugly? Is that easier than dealing with his very specific surface level angle measurements to the sun for a 24-hour period? I forgot Dave's incompetent. He didn't quite manage it, did he? Yeah? He unsuccessfully used a tripod, didn't he? Doesn't change the angle measurements he did achieve, though, did he? He did definitely measure Earth flat, though. You rumpusing me, whoever that is, Jardo.
Sorry.
Jardo, you're off
Sometimes
mute.
when I join the microphone is already off mute. Sorry.
That's all right.
You are forgiven, Jardo.
And so I should be. Thank you.
Where you been, man? You haven't been joining? You've been busy?
What do you mean I haven't been joining? There's been no shows for like 6 months.
Still, why haven't you been joining? That didn't answer the question.
Sometimes I log into 24/7 Discord and I'll just log straight out because I'm just does my head in.
Yeah,
Why? What are they
you
doing?
got a point there.
Why? What have they been doing?
Well, I logged in tonight and they were talking about 9/11 buildings. I thought I'd give it a go tonight. I hadn't logged in for a few days, and then I'm like, fuck me. So sorry, I'm like, stuff me. Out I go.
Well, QE's having a show this Saturday. I believe he is. It's not definite yet, but he'll be going over something that happened on 24/7. It's not even the fact that they talk about things like that. You can understand that. Yesterday was 9/11. But the way they tried to argue something that's not even supposed to be being argued over, it's just, it is what it is. And they're still in argumentation form. And it's poor. It's very poor.
Yeah, this needs to be made about groups. It needs to be turned from a flat earth measurement made by surveyors and turned into a subject about people. That's all that's happened. Because then you can divide them.
Yeah, because not enough people, it's like they're resisting speaking about the measurements because it ends it. It's over. Once you clarify that and you get everybody to agree, it's over. So I think they're shying away from that because, I don't know, they want to continue to argue. I don't know.
No, I think you're absolutely right. They want to continue to argue with the ballers. Maybe because they don't know it's flat. They just believe it's flat. And that belief is waiting to be disbanded, discouraged, whatever, removed from them so they can go back to the ball. A lot of pretender clown flat earthers, as QE calls them. Let's quote QE. The biggest threat to flat earth is pretender clown flat earthers. End quote, QE. And he's absolutely right.
And that was years ago, that quote.
Yeah, and I've suggested that there's a reason, and that's because we were funneled into the subject from conspiracy subjects like 9/11. Your average Joe, hearing someone like Dave Weiss talk about 9/11 truth, architects and engineers, Judy, whatever her name is, that makes you sound insane. And a conspiratard. That's what it makes you sound like. Now, in my opinion, that's absolutely the point of having us funneled in from those subject matters. So that while we babble on about flat Earth being about a matrix or a conspiracy where we've been deceived, it's not about any of those things. And in many ways, I'm just as guilty. But now in 2025, it's like, no. The subject's about how Earth gets measured. And what happens when you start pointing that out? Your opponents agree with you. Yeah, for convenience, it's measured flat, says Simon Dan. Yeah, we know. You know. Everyone knows, including Fugly Dave. Well, Fugly Dave took this diagram on screen and said, look, the line along the bottom's bending. Therefore, Earth's bending. You're like, are you shitting me? You're going to look at this diagram and say, because diagrammatically we've got a curve to something with a degree measurement next to an angle, that means the surface of Earth's curved. That's your standard. No, if this is curved, it's not a frigging angle, moron. But that's what we have to deal with from Fugly Dave. He's a disingenuous scumbag liar.
Can I say something, Nathan?
I'm going to go with no.
So, like I think I mentioned it the other week, like you're right, these idiots just talking about sea level being curved, and we go through these video clips of these idiots talking nonsense. And I think I had a chat with you. It might be a good idea maybe to go through some videos like, surveying videos, looking at surveyors and how they actually, what are they actually doing? What tools are they using? Yeah, because we're not just saying the Earth is measured flat. and these tools are measuring angles and elevation angles, this is how they're used in everyday life. So I think it'd be beneficial for the audience if we was to grab some videos, maybe on surveying, flight. There's lots of different things that we talk about in us, and let's hear it from the professionals' mouths, not ours, and point out that it's not just us saying this. This is how engineers talk. This is how pilots have to navigate the Earth in level flight. Let's go through some videos like that instead of watching Globum and Simon Dan and these idiots who are just talking nonsense. Let's let the audience see that everybody's saying this, not just us. That was my thought. I mean, I have got a little video of a surveyor. It only lasts a minute, but it tells you what they're actually doing and what tools they're using. And we could probably break down some of the words he's using and go and bring some definitions up and have a look at that. It might not last as long as the Globum videos and Simon Dan videos, but it was just a thought. I think.
Yeah, bung it massively. Wonderful. Yeah, we'll cover that in the live show.
Okay.
I also dug out a little, I think it's actually an AI-generated piece, but regardless, description of how surveying functions when it comes to differential levelling. And the description's quite explicit. It's describing how to calculate an elevation angle, you need a known distance that's horizontal, and that they're measuring with respect to a planar surface. That's what it makes explicit when detailing how surveys get performed with theodolites.
Well, my credentials are a form of authority. Does a lawyer's legal opinion hold a certain level of authority over a layperson? Does a doctor's medical opinion hold more authority over a layperson's opinion? Yeah, if they're telling you something wrong, it doesn't mean anything.
Sorry, measuring Earth's not an opinion.
Well, he says he's written software for aircraft instruments. I have written software for guidance systems.
But sorry, you're talking about Buck Sodbuster. So should I type in his name, Buck Sodbuster, and see the software he created? Bullshitter. We've got NTSB pitch data, not faceless, nameless, coward troll pitch data, you stupid moron. Try and maintain your status quo of being offended over Fugly Dave. That's what you're good at.
Oh, he says you guys. Wait, listen to this because he's.
Can I just shout out a special mention to Dave Flat Earth, who's listening right now?
Dave Flat Earth, which one?
Steister.
Dave the Weiss.
How do you mean listening right now? Is he in the Discord server?
I just gifted memberships and he was the one that got one.
Right.
Yeah, but that don't mean nothing.
Thank you for gifting memberships. 20. Wow. Why didn't you wait till we were live? You get proper thanks.
I know. I went a bit too early. I've been waiting a little while for this.
About 3 weeks.
I just read out the AI.
You can't blame me for going a bit early.
Thank you for the super chat memberships. I'll just read out this AI overview. In geodetic surveying, an elevation angle is the angular height of a point or object above the horizon, measured by a theodolite or other instruments. It's a critical component to determining elevation heights. Oh, they've changed this. This is a different quote now.
Wow.
Of Earth's curved surface. Well, it's not an angle then.
Wow. See, I got to ask a question here.
They've changed the overview from AI. I love it.
So
then it goes on. Hold on. By measuring horizontal and vertical angles, including elevation angles, along with distances between points. So it's removed the horizontal distances.
Wow.
Yeah, and elevations of large-scale mapping, infrastructure projects and land management, accounting for the Earth's curvature. How are you going to do that if you're measuring elevation angles? I love it. AI Overviews immediately changed its tune since I've started using it. Standard.
Before you get off, I got to ask a question. When you're reading anything as far as data to anything, does that require interpretation?
Not if it's measurements. For instance, in the case of this AI overview, it's injected its curved rhetoric into elevation angle measurements. So then when you look into elevation angle measurements, there's no opinion needed, there's no discussion to take place. It's just a measurement.
Just look at the first minute. It wouldn't take up the whole show, but we could spend 15 minutes on that 1 minute probably looking at what's, the words he's using and the tools, and we could go around the table and explain what is happening. So I just wanted to say it's not the full video. It drags on a bit, but the first minute gets points across.
And get started. Here we are going to have lecture 1. In this lecture, we are going to have introduction to surveying. So what do we do in surveying? So in surveying, we are going to have measurement. We are going to measure the distances.
Yeah, so I was going to anyway. I was just posting the link, so I'll do a couple of things. First of all, there's a link going by to this video, so please subscribe to Ahmed Sadoun. There's a link going by in the live stream chat, and straight away we're into him describing what we're doing. Sorry, just for Dan's benefits, this is a surveyor, Dan. Did he say approximations? No, he didn't. He said measurements, because that's what he'll be doing. He's a surveyor. So surveying involves measuring, not approximating anything. Dan's an idiot. Just to be clear. Anything else you wanted to add?
I think that's important. That was what I was sort of focusing on. We're measuring. We're pointing that out because a lot of people in this arena jump to a calculation also after the measurement, which isn't what's being done at that time in reality. What's being done is a measurement, and in surveying, it's usually the surface of Earth. So, so this is what's happening in life, in engineering, in surveying, and it's not us making this up. This is a fact.
We do in surveying. So in surveying, we are going to have measurement.
I'll just say it again. Yeah, for Simon Dan's audience, your guru's a liar. It is that simple. So you can dilute the fact we measure Earth flat. He used a word that is inappropriate. Approximations. Lying scumbag. That's what Dan is. If you subscribe to Dan, you're a fool. And he's laughing at you. He knows he's rewording the facts in this matter from measurement to approximation, just to dilute the awful truth of flat Earth measurements in surveying. That's a liar. That's what Dan is, a liar.
We are going to measure the distances, we are going to measure the angles, and we are going to measure the positions.
So Dan's a liar. He didn't say approximations. He reiterated on 3 separate occasions that you're going to be measuring Earth, not approximating anything like Dan the liar has told his audience when diluting the flat Earth measurement facts detailed in this video. Just once more, Simon Dan is a disingenuous scumbag cult-following liar.
And that is going to be either on or near the surface of the Earth.
Wait a second. Can you go back and replay that?
We are going to measure the angles, and we are going to measure the positions. And that is going to be either on or near the surface of the Earth.
We all clear? Earth's measured flat.
So
there's no exceptions to this. That's what he's detailing. He's detailing measurement. Is he detailing something that's approximating Earth's surface, or is he measuring Earth's surface? Yeah, he's measuring Earth's surface. That's what's happening. That's why it's called surveying. It's surveying Earth's surface. That's measurement. What did Dan call it again? Approximations, because he's a lying scumbag. And if you're following Dan and believing his lies, then you're a fool. There's no other words for it. Go ahead, Wandek.
So So just saying, so if we just go by what it's saying, we're measuring distances. That's 2 points on the surface of Earth, which can be measured, probably with a linear measurement, like feet, inches, meters. And he's also saying that we'll be measuring angles. Now, I think everybody knows what an angle is. It's two straight lines. It's got nothing to do with, well, it's not a curved measurement. It's two straight line measurement. So, and he's specifying this is done on the surface of Earth. So you've got angles on the surface of Earth, and that's what the surveyors are doing.
Yeah, the AI overview summarises it quite nicely. Although, as we found out in the pre-show, after I've acquired an AI overview in this regard, the AI overview has now subsequently changed to incorporate how elevation angles are with respect to curved surfaces. That is to say that even AI lies proactively after it's utilised to demonstrate the truth of measurements. But the original AI overview was as follows. In geodetic surveying, elevation angles are primarily measured using a theodolite, which is an optical instrument with a telescope and rotating base to determine the vertical angle of a point relative to a horizontal plane. These measured vertical angles, along with known horizontal distances, are used in trigonometric levelling to calculate the elevation of a point. The theodolite measures precise horizontal and vertical angles, enabling the calculation of positions, distances, and elevations, and is essential for creating accurate maps and engineering plans.
So it's using elevation angles for mapping. That's to find your way around the surface of Earth. It will be elevation angle related.
Yes.
No mention of curvature. Curvature is not used. We're talking about horizontal, vertical angles in surveying and mapping. And the tool that's used is designed to do that. And that's what the professionals use.
Yeah. We measure Earth flat. And if your guru's telling you, no, we don't measure Earth flat, we just measure it flat, locally for convenience, it's a flat approximation, then know that your guru's scum. That's scum man Dan the liar, who needs to deceive you about how Earth is actually measured. Now, while he's deceiving you, he's simultaneously conceding the facts. Yes! At very small scales, we use flat approximations. Why is it that Dan's got a different word to this surveyor? Or to the AI overview when it describes measurement? It's, as I said before, so he can dilute the flat Earth measuring facts of our reality for his audience who he's deceiving. That's Dan. Simon Dan, the one who's lying about them being approximations rather than measurements. But we do, without question, measure Earth flat. Now, you, the audience, have got a couple of choices here. You can come back at me and say, no, they don't. And like Fugly Dave, present a diagram that shows that an angle's actually formed diagrammatically with a curve. Therefore, Earth's curved, because the diagram of an angle has a curve in it, says a fugly troll called Dave. Alternatively, you can take the measurements of Earth in surveying and call them local approximations. Doesn't alter that they're flat measurements of Earth that will be used and are used when measuring Earth by everyone, always, without exception.
What we do is measuring.
What's that? What we do is measuring? So not approximating then, like liar man Dan said. So when Dan used the word approximating, this man's correcting Dan's lies. They're not approximations, Dan, you're a liar. They're measurements, as this man's made explicitly clear. Unlike you lying scumbag. What's that? I called Dave ugly? Yeah, I did, didn't I? Scrape your own eyes out kind of ugly. But they still measure Earth flat in surveying. Maybe tell me it's unfair to call an ugly man ugly. That's a much lower hanging fruit.
Distances, angles, and positions. Going to be either on or near the surface of the Earth. So what we do is measuring distances, angles, and positions. Okay, and in order to
No, it's not okay. According to Dan, no. No, they're only doing that locally, and it's not measurements, it's approximations, according to a liar called Simon Dan. Massive audience, put in place to lie to the masses who come to this subject. And by masses, I mean the very small pond that we find ourselves segregated to by YouTube algorithms. Meanwhile, Dan and I are in the exact same pond with a limited audience. Dan gets the lion's share of that pond's audience, so he can lie to them about what this man's just corrected. And lie is what Dan will do incessantly.
do that, we have many instruments or devices. We have the steel tape in order to measure the horizontal distances and the slopes. We have
To measure the what distances, did he say?
I think he said horizontal distances, Nathan.
What do we do in surveying? So in surveying, we are going to have measurement. We are going to measure the distances. We are going to measure the angles, and we are going to measure the positions. And that is going to be either on or near the surface of the Earth.
This is a bit I'm interested in, his next statement.
So what we do is measuring distances, angles, and positions. Okay, and in order to do that, we have many instruments or devices. We have the steel tape in order to measure the horizontal distances and the.
It's over.
Measuring the horizontal distances. You know why all maps are flat? It's because Earth is flat. And you don't attain horizontal distances unless it's scaled and mapped and measured flat. And that is precisely what this survey has just detailed. All distance measurements in this regard, if they're going to be used for trigonometric functionality, must be measured flat. Horizontal distance measurements. What's that? Local approximations for convenience, says Dan. He's a scumbag. He's a liar. Why are you even subscribed to him? I'll tell you why you subscribe to him. Because you're as stupid as he is. Yeah? You're too dumb to realise that a very stupid man named Dan is deceiving you. You're more stupid than he is. That's why you've been taken in by the flat Earth local approximations that surveyors use. No, they're measuring horizontal distances. Dan's a liar. Dave's ugly and measured Earth flat in Antarctica for a limited period, not 24 hours, too incompetent to use an EQ mount. And Dan's a scumbag liar who says that the flat Earth measurements are just approximations locally for convenience. Liars. Earth's measured flat. Don't have to like it.
Not just them. There was people in chat yesterday claiming that it's not the ground that's being measured. So I'm glad this video, we have a professional stating what's done and how it's done.
So on or near the surface of Earth is not the surface of Earth. No. It's not the surface of your idiotic, cult-like globe Earth. But we do measure horizontal distances. We do navigate with flat maps and flat scales. That's how Earth gets dealt with. It's just not your curved Earth, dumbos. It's not the flat approximations lied about by Simon Dan either. Yeah? It's actually the flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurement made in a limited format by an incompetent man who's very fugly named Dave. When he laid out his surface level angle measurements to the sun for a limited period, not beyond the limitation of his actual ability when it comes to using a tripod, I might add. He wasn't dropped on his head. My assumption that his incompetence when it comes to an EQ mount was down to his careless mother. I've been corrected. I've been told, no, Dave wasn't dropped on his head. He's just really stupid and can't use an EQ mount. But what he did manage was a few flat Earth elevation angles to the sun with respect to the surface level. What's that? It's not a level surface. He didn't get any elevation angle approximations. Now, they're angle measurements off a surface level. And if it ain't level, it ain't an angle and you haven't got any measurements. I'll be using Fugly Dave's angle measurements off surface level. That's a flat Earth measurement to prove Earth is and will always be measured flat by everyone. As for Dan's pathetic attempt to make measurements into approximations on a local convenience scale. They just make him look like a disingenuous scumbag liar, don't they? Now again, if you, the audience, can't recognise this, that makes you more stupid than them. That's all it means. You're dumb.
The slopes. We have the theodolite, through which we are going to measure the vertical and the horizontal angles.
Can we stop there? Yeah,
They don't have those.
Yeah. So you've already gone over this, Nathan. These tools that the professionals are using are designed to measure angles and elevation angles, horizontally and vertically. No mention of curvature at all. Yeah, that's not being done. It doesn't even come into the job. Yeah, of what he's doing. He's telling you what he's doing, and he's telling you what tool he's using. And if you look at what the tool's designed for and its purpose, you'll find out.
It's measuring elevation angles off of a surface that the tool is levelled to, so that the angle to the horizon is flat and forms part of the angle. Now, as is detailed on screen, on or near the surface of Earth, because it's a surface of Earth measurement. Flat Earth surface level measurement. Who's that?
Let's just play that again, Nathan, about what the satellite's doing. What does he say again? Sorry.
Horizontal distances and the slopes. We have the theodolite, through which we are going to measure the vertical and the horizontal angles.
Those two things aren't ever applicable to a ball. You don't have vertical or horizontal on a ball. You got in and out, and that's it. There is no vertical. There is no horizontal. You don't have these things on a ball, you bunch of numpties. But you'll use them for convenience, right? Who's off mute? Someone's off mute in G+. Hello?
Dardo, you're hot micing.
Dardo, you're hot micing.
We have the total station. This device, it can measure the horizontal distances and also...
Sorry, did he just say measure the horizontal distance? He didn't say take local approximations for convenience, did he? Did I hear Dan's words out of his mouth or not? Am I imagining Dan's words coming out of this man's mouth with words like approximations and convenience? Or did I hear horizontal distance measurement? Did I imagine that?
No, I haven't heard the word approximation yet.
This is the problem.
No, you won't.
This is the problem with Simon, Dan, and the rest of them. They make things up, and people are listening to the lies. These are professional people telling us how it's done. We can go. This isn't FED making things up. This is how it's done. You can ask the professionals. Yeah. In engineering, flight, anything else. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to get the professionals, and they're going to tell you exactly what we've been telling you. Earth is measured flat, and it's dealt with flat, it's navigated flat, and it always has been, and it always will be.
I'm going to go a slightly different way. No, if you're one of the dumb people I described earlier that's more stupid than Fugly Dave and Simon Dan the liar, don't approach these people. They've got a job to do measuring Earth flat, so they can build things and survey things, so we can navigate, use charts and maps. These are professionals that use a flat Earth for their day-to-day tasks. You idiots who believe you're on a ball have no place talking to these professionals. Do I make myself clear? You idiots in a cult aren't worthy of these people's time. Meanwhile, these people are measuring Earth flat. They're not approximating jack. They're not doing it for convenience. They're doing it to build stuff on a flat Earth. Make no mistake, your gurus are liars. These people don't need bothering by cult members of a globe faith. That's the minute mark. Is that all we need? You were right.
I think there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more, Nathan, I think. No,
so
not
it
long.
can measure the vertical and the horizontal angle. So the total station, it can do the job of the steel tape and the job of the theodolite.
Open an award-winning ISA today.
You're not the boss of me.
We have the level. We use this one. The total station, it can do the job of the steel tape and the job of the theodolite.
So it can measure elevation angles on or near Earth's surface, and it can measure horizontal distance measurement along Earth's surface. So to summarise, this tool can measure Earth flat. That's what this tool does. There's no exceptions about what this tool does. And why have we got this tool? Is it so Simon Dan can lie about the approximations at a local level for convenience? No, it's not for Dan's purposes to lie about it. It's to do actual practical things with respect to Earth's surface when measuring it, so that you can build on it. Now, if you build on it incorrectly, lives get lost. Buildings collapse. But the actual practical applied measurements are of a flat Earth. Make no mistake, your guru Dan's just a liar, defending his globe cult.
We have the level. We use this one in order to know the difference in heights or in elevation.
So to get the distance in heights,
Elevation?
we need a level. This is a great video.
But you know what I mean? He spoke about the measurements, everything's to do with horizontal, level, vertical, angles, elevation angles, level again. And I mean, it speaks for itself.
Why isn't
we
this
don't
man...
have to say anything.
I'm a bit confused. Why is this guy not telling me off for calling Dave fugly? I mean, in my video about Dave, I point out that surveyors measure Earth flat, says Simon Dan. Yeah, I've got a whole horde of trolls coming from Dave's video to tell me that I'm not a very nice man for calling a very ugly man ugly. I mean, what about the flat Earth elevation angle measurements and horizontal distance measurements made by surveyors that Simon Dan was conceding to, that I was using against Fugly Dave? Why weren't they addressed by any of Dave's followers? Oh, is it because, like I've already pointed out, you're too stupid to realise it, and you only want to defend what Dave's told you to defend? The fact that I've called him ugly? Yeah, he is. But what about this survey? He's not saying you don't get to call Dave Fugly Dave. He's just saying we measure Earth flat with horizontal distances, isn't he? Yeah? So when we get down to the nitty-gritty of how Earth gets measured, as opposed to how ugly Dave is, we get to the real truth of the matter when it comes to Earth measurement. It's flat.
It's a very important device. And also we have the GPS, through which you are going to know the position of or the coordinate of a point.
The coordinate system is also a flat planar grid in GPS. GPS is a flat Earth system using a flat grid. That's how GPS works. What's that I hear? It's a global positioning system. Yeah, name only. When you actually look at how the damn thing works, it's flat. How else would it work with his horizontal distance measurements, vertical, horizontal, elevation angles? It wouldn't work with any of them if it was curved. But it does, because it isn't curved. GPS is a flat Earth proof.
Yeah, it works on the XYZ axis, doesn't it, Nathan?
Correct.
Which is nothing to do with curvature.
Cartesian plane.
So, again.
So we are going to use all of this device in order to measure distances, angles, and positions.
Not once did he say approximate. Not once did he say it's only local. Not once did he say, but it's actually curved. Not once did he contradict himself like Scum Man Dan the liar, who's just a little bit more intelligent than the majority of his audience. That's really low down the pecking order. The bar's pretty low already. But meanwhile, if you're watching him and taking in what he says, we use local approximations for convenience. No. Surveyor says it's all about the measurements, Dan.
I think that's it, Nathan.
So why do we need surveying? In order to answer this question, we are going to go through this example, which is construction of a building.
So we're clear. In order to build things, we measure Earth flat. This is not subtle, is it? He's not saying we use horizontal distances, elevation angles, verticals and horizontals so that we can approximate Earth because it's spherical like. That's not what he's saying. He's saying we measure Earth flat with horizontal distances to build on Earth. That's what we do. Why? There's no need to explain it. There's no question at the end of his statement of fact, is there? He's not saying, why do we measure Earth flat? He's saying we measure Earth flat with horizontal distances and then we build on it. It's not up for debate. It's not a question he's asking. He's telling you Earth's measured flat. And why? So we can build on Earth. That's why. If it wasn't flat, we wouldn't be building on it. It is flat. That's how it's measured. And that's how we get to build on it. Earth, that is, after measuring it flat, that is.
Nathan, how long have we been saying that Earth, everything, navigated, sailed, built upon, and now we're getting confirmation? Not that we need it from a professional. This is devastating to them.
Yeah, like I say, you're just an idiot. If you're watching Dan and being taken in by him, like I say, he's just a little bit more intelligent than your own dumbass when it comes to understanding and appreciating how surveys function. Yeah? I mean, we can take it right down to the nitty-gritty of how things like Earth curve claim to be surveys of a physical geometric spheroid horizon. Below the surface level, this surveyor will measure horizontally. It's there. It's labelled in your own bleeding maths because you idiots on the curved side of this so-called discussion also require a surface level that is axiomatically parallel with eye level. You guys need a flat Earth more than we do for your religion of a ball. Great to see you live again, says OBE Lines. Thank you very much for the super chat. Well, that would normally be the housekeeping question section of the show, and it's been taken up with surveying, which is a lot more useful, I would say, in modern times than housekeeping questions. The housekeeping questions are kind of redundant in modern times, if I'm honest. They're there to encourage the audience that feel that they have the ability to come into the show via the link, as opposed to a Simon Dan video, which is locked down in an echo chamber where you only get his words and his moderated comments. This is a live stream that anybody can join. You can join the show, tell me I'm wrong, and respond to the questions we call housekeeping that are directly geared towards idiot numpty bull-believing faith and how they can address their faith to us in this open forum that I have created. And it's been here for 10 years with an open door.
Okay, so Buck, all you have to do is come in. Nathan just gave the invitation that's been there for 10 years. So don't come in here sending messages that hundreds of geodetic surveys have been published showing the Earth is curved when you just had a professional lay it out for you. Come on in here. I'm not dealing with your comments anymore.
Do we need surveying in order to answer this question? We are going to... through which we are going to measure the vertical and the horizontal angles.
Did you hear that, Buck? Did you get that?
Thing is, Nathan, like I'm saying about these videos, we can zone in on a lot of this with what we're talking about in FED. The guys they fed some nonsense about larger scale surveys have to account for curvature, and that the word account is very important there, because yes, it might be accounted for, but it's not measured. Even on larger scales, it's measured flat and horizontal. Then there's some mathematics involved, yeah, to turn that measurement into a curved measurement. It's never, ever measured curved. It's always measured horizontally, vertically, plumb, level.
The reason why they throw that in there is because the world believes we're on a sphere.
But what I'm saying is, we can find that information out from the professionals. You can find it. They'll tell you that is it WG84 or whatever it's called. They'll tell you it's a mathematical concept. After the measurement, they admit it. They have to admit it. There's paperwork and documents. We can get a video and go through that and say, yeah, there is a calculation after the fact of the elevation angle measurement to calculate curvature. That's what they tell you they do. They're not telling you they're measuring it. It's calculated. So we'll go through that and put them right on that. Next time, we'll find something on that one.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's for our benefit, not theirs, though. I mean, obviously, we're going to incorporate the fact that the opponent side disagree with while we're going through it. But this is really for the benefit of those who aren't completely closed off to their contradictory facts that disprove their bull faith. The average bull believer is so tied down in cognitive dissonance. They're the full cup we talked about yesterday. You can't fill a full cup, it's already full. So it's not for them. They want confirmation bias. They can't stand the awful truth. So they need people like Dan to tell them that we're wrong when we are reiterating how Earth gets measured by surveyors. They need to spin how Earth gets measured into approximations for convenience. Like, it doesn't matter how you spin this. Earth will always be measured flat, regardless of how idiots like Dan or Fugly Dave do anything. It makes no difference to how Earth gets measured, does it? So this isn't for them. I do appreciate what you're saying, though, going through their sentiment and undoing it. But this isn't for them. Keep your faith, you bunch of cultist morons.
I know what you're saying, Nathan, and I do agree with you. But I think people are just constantly listening to us saying the Earth is measured flat, and you're going to need a horizontal for that. And what we've been saying, I think it's good that we show them that professionals are saying this also. It's not just us. It's not just FED saying it. It's not a flat Earth rhetoric. It's just real life. Yeah, and if we can show that more and more, that professionals are telling you this as well. It's not just us. We're not just an echo chamber of flat earthers making things up. We're just dealing with the real world and how it's dealt with.
Geodesy is the science of measuring. Once again, you're in a category error. That's it. I'm done with you.
As I say, some nameless, faceless troll who suggests that he's appealed to his own credentials when he's got no name is pathetic. Like this guy, the dude we just covered, stuck his name on it, right? Ahmed Sadoun. That's his name. Is he going by Buck Sadoun? No, he isn't. Right? That's his actual name. Like I use my real name when I teabag your stupid idiot claims of flat earth approximations for convenience. No, my name's Nathan Oakley. I'm the one pointing out how Earth gets measured flat. You idiots with pathetic troll names like Buck Sodbuster are here to tell us that you're super qualified. You've made technical schematics and programs. No, we've got NTSB pitch data, thanks. We're good for faceless, nameless trolls' claims. We're okay for that, thanks.
We got it from him.
Yeah, I'd just like to say on that, Nathan, though, I mean, I've got one deck. That's not my real name, but this is no joke. In real life, that's what everybody calls me. My partner calls me One Deck. The kids over the fence, when they're shouting, they'll go, One Deck, will you throw the ball back over? That's my name, One Deck. That's how I'm known. So right? Just like to point that out.
When you throw the ball back over, do you account for the Coriolis?
Oh.
And my nickname of Sexy Mofo doesn't go over. It just doesn't work as a...
I'm Neil Cosentino. You want to talk to me? Join the show. This is to you, Buck Sodbuster. I will no longer be responding. You have an open door invitation.
See how he's triggered though, Neil? He's watched the professional surveyor tell him how it's done. He's listened to horizontal, vertical, level, the tools that are being used, designed for measuring elevation angles, and he's triggered. He's saying it's not, like Nathan's just explained, he can't let it go. He can't deal with the truth.
See,
We've just shown him the truth.
Me and Brian had a conversation yesterday, and Brian, we know what this guy's doing. He's too cowardice to join the show, but he knows that I'm going to bring it up, so he's sending, and he's using me like as the middle guy. I know what you're doing. I do it because we're doing a show, Buck, but no longer. That's it. I won't be responding. If you want to talk, you think you have a point, join the show. You know how to get in.
Yeah, come on, Buck, and tell us how that survey was wrong. We'd
He'll
love to
wind
hear
up like Steve Bauman, who Nathan totally annihilated, and now all he does is come in chat saying that it's not the ground or horizontal is curved. You know, idiotic stuff like that. Contradictory.
So, not the ground, Steve. Measuring distances, angles, and positions on or near the surface of the Earth. It's just not your globe, Earth, Dumbo. Now, maybe you, when telling us that these measurements of a flat Earth we use to survey, navigate, map, chart, fly, sail the Earth, aren't the Earth? No, they're not your globe, Earth, dumbass. They are Earth. That's how it's measured, mapped, charted, and scaled. For maps. But it isn't your ball Earth, is it? Yeah? That would require conversion from the surface level measurements and horizontal distances detailed by this dude, Mr. Sadoon. Yeah? His flat Earth measurements are what are used in respect to Earth's surface, as he explicitly details. So when you hear someone like Steve saying, it's not the surface of Earth, understand what he's really saying. He's saying it's not the surface of a ball Earth, because you can't get horizontal distance measurements from a surface that's curved. You can only get horizontal distance measurements, the ones we use for surveying Earth, off a flat Earth. So definitely not their ball Earth then. That's what they actually mean when they say it's not the surface. Not your ball surface, dickhead.
So is he trying to say, like, the construction of a building has got nothing to do with the surface of Earth?
Yes. He's saying the construction of a building's got nothing to do with the surface of a curved Earth he believes in. Because when we measure horizontal distances off a flat Earth, it isn't his ball faith. Therefore, it can't be the surface. No, it is the surface of Earth. It's just not your surface of a dickhead ball your cult told you to believe in. Because that's not conducive with horizontal distance measurements or elevation angle measurements. If you need an example from your own dumbass side, go to Fugly Dave and the incompetent idiot's limited measurements of the sun in Antarctica off a planar surface. Now, don't get me wrong, there are better examples of elevation angles that didn't come from complete incompetent buffoons like Fugly Dave, who couldn't manage to use an EQ mount properly. Yeah, there are people out there who can do a better job, that actually survey it with a practical application in mind after surveying it. Did Dave, the fugly troll, actually achieve anything with his useless, incompetent attempt to measure the surface of Earth with elevation angles for a 24-hour period? No. Dave didn't do anything with that incorrect, useless garbage he got wrong through incompetence when attempting to use a tripod correctly. He failed miserably. Even if he'd succeeded, he wasn't about to build something in Antarctica. He wasn't going to do anything with his flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the sun for 24 hours. Keep getting the time wrong, don't I, Dave? Keep forgetting how incompetent you are, don't I, Dave? How you failed miserably to use a basic piece of equipment. Keep forgetting that you failed miserably. Yeah? And by failed, I mean highlighted it to the nth degree so everybody's abundantly clear how utterly incompetent you are, you fugly troll. What's that? You don't like me calling him fugly? Tell him not to be so friggin' ugly then. Has anybody done that? I've got so many people moaning at me for pointing out the bleeding obvious when it comes to Dave's ugly face. Have one of you gone to him and said, have you tried being less ugly, Dave? You know, this would all end if you were just less ugly. Can you do that? Go and have a word with him and say, come on, Dave, pull your finger out. Pull your finger out of that arse you call a face.
So if I decide to sail to the UK, does it have nothing to do with the ocean, the surface? Really?
It's got everything to do with the surface, everything to do with the maps you'll use that are flat, with flat scales, so that you can use linear, horizontal distance measurements when moving around the surface that's been mapped and charted, with elevation angle measurements of a flat surface utilising the stars in the sky to create the maps, to create the grids, to create the planar systems and Cartesian grids that we use to navigate Earth flat. These are the facts. What's that, approximations? Local? Have you never seen a map? You think that's local, do you, dumbass? No. All maps are flat.
Surveyed.
Good.
I'm saying, yeah, the maps are surveyed. That's what the other Lite and the tool stations also used for. It's used for surveying the surface of Earth and plotting maps, so we can navigate, get around this place. Horizontal, vertical, level, elevation angles, no curvature involved.
Suppose my question is, right, given this has been pointed out to my audience, who are also Simon Dan's audience and Fugly Dave's audience, you know, they're coming over to tell me I'm a mean man when I point out Earth's measured flat. For convenience, like, yeah? How many of you have gone back to Dan or Dave and said, no, they're not approximations. They're actual measurements that we use to build things with? How many of you have gone back and challenged your guru, you bunch of pathetic cucks? I'm going to bet none of you. You'll kowtow to whatever these pathetic lying morons tell you. And in the face of their information being demonstrated to be incorrect, you won't go and challenge them. You won't go and correct them. You'll tell me I'm bad for calling a man ugly, won't you? You'll grasp for the lowest possible fruit you can get your hands on to try and discredit me, one man, rather than the entire process of measuring Earth flat that we use to this day, have always used in the past and will always use in the future. Long after everybody watching this is dead, Earth will still be measured flat like it's measured flat today and was always measured flat previously. Nothing's going to change. But like I say, my question is, why aren't you calling your gurus out? They're demonstrably wrong. They've lied to you. But you're too pathetic to do anything about it, aren't you?
Nathan, that's the salt I'm talking about. That's the salt that you pour on their wounds every day.
No, I don't care. I don't care if you, the audience, go and challenge your gurus about how they've lied to you. Yeah, they're proactively contacting me. They're making videos about me and putting my picture on their thumbnails. Yeah? They're proactively chasing me down. Now they don't care about you. They've lied to you, taken your money and got on with their day, haven't they? Me, they're thinking about me constantly. They're losing sleep over me. I don't need to go and correct them. I don't need to proactively approach these people. I've got a show. But my question's about you, the audience member who has been deceived. Why aren't you challenging them, you bunch of cucks?
I mean, it's so telling. I mean, I'm going to put myself in a glober's position. I mean, if you're a glober and you are convinced and you think the Earth is a globe and that's how it's measured, you wouldn't be then offering up, well, I'm going to give you a flat Earth approximation. I'll give you that, because that's what I'll have to do. You'd be standing up tall and strong and saying, I ain't giving you flat, mate, because the Earth's a bloody globe. And this is why it's a globe and this is how it's measured as a globe. I don't have to give you flat. That's ridiculous. But they don't do that, do they? Just give us a little bit of flat, approximate it flat, locally flat.
Yeah, but they can't. Yeah, because they can't.
Yeah, that's the weakness coming through.
Yeah, but they can't. They can't do that. They have to start with a flat plane. So they could say, I'll give you all you want. You ain't giving us anything. You have no choice, my friend.
Just like we did earlier. Nathan, and his book is going to be first class, only on a completely flat surface. I'd love to see Nathan.
What you measure it.
The angle to a mountain or a tree depends on height difference and distance.
Height, distance, and distance. What, the horizontal distance detailed by this surveyor, Dan? Yeah, we know. Again, my question put to Dan's audience. Why aren't you challenging him on this? Yeah? You're just going to take it. You're just going to bend over and let Dan do it to you. Yeah? that how you are? Wow, isn't that kind of pathetic? Doesn't that make you feel really small? Like Dan's lied to you and got away with it, and you're going to do nothing about it? Oh my God, that must make you feel pathetic. Like this big, yeah? Yeah, it's because you are pathetic. Dan's lying to you, right to your face.
Both are which measurable, predictable, and calculable. If you claim the Earth to be flat, and you can absolutely test that, Nathan's saying it just is what you measure.
On your knees, acknowledging the linear distance, perpendicular elevation, and flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle. And Dan does actually agree with this, but he can't not agree with it. The surveyor makes it explicitly clear that's what's being done. It's not me saying it. I don't need Dan's agreement. That's how it's done.
Yeah, okay. On a local scale, I would acknowledge all of that, yeah.
We all clear? On a local scale, Dan acknowledges the flat Earth facts that we measure Earth flat. He acknowledges that, yeah? So again, this big? This big? How big do you feel, pathetic cuck audience of Simon Dan? Or Fugly Dave, take your pick, I don't care who.
Earth is flat. It means you're measuring the shortest path between 2 points. Over small distances, you can use straight line approximations.
Right, straight line approximations. Again, I'll just ask the same question. Why are you taking in Dan's lies and not challenging him on it? The surveyor didn't use that word, did he? Dan's put that word in. Approximations. No, Dan, you're a liar. They're measurements, mate. Not approximations. Not for convenience either. For building things.
Yeah, the surveyor said straight line horizontal measurements.
Yeah, not flat approximations, straight line measurements. Dan's just a disingenuous scumbag liar. Now, like I say, I don't mind if his audience continually cucks to his lies. Yeah? They're tiny little pathetic, insignificant specks of dust in my world. So I don't really care how small and pathetic his audience is or how dumb they are. Who cares? Earth will still be measured flat regardless of how fugly Dave is. I mean, how stupid Simon Dan's audience is.
Hold on a second. 1 second. Approximations are fine and dandy, but if it don't line up with the measurements, they have to be tossed out. It's all comes from the measurement. You can't approximate without a measurement.
In Dan's stupid idiot world, you go and hire somebody to build you a house, and they turn around to you and say, "You're right if I just approximate this." What are you going to do? Go, "Yeah, no worries. I'll give you 100k to build my house out of bricks and mortar, and don't measure anything. Just approximate it. Just use flat approximations for convenience. Because obviously when I'm paying you 100k to build me a house, just guess it. Just approximate."
Hey, Nathan,
go on.
Can I make a suggestion? Just when you're ready. It's only a minute, that surveyor's clip. We could all listen to it in silence with no interruption and hear it word for word. It's 1 minute long, just to let it sink in a little bit for everybody.
Let's go ahead and get started. Here we are going to have lecture 1. In this lecture, we are going to have introduction to surveying. So what do we do in surveying? So in surveying, we are going to have measurement. We are going to measure the distances, we are going to measure the angles, and we are going to measure the positions. And that is going to be either on or near the surface of the Earth. So what we do is measuring distances, angles, and positions. Okay, and in order to do that, we have many instruments or devices. We have the steel tape in order to measure the horizontal distances and the slopes. We have the theodolite, through which we are going to measure the vertical and the horizontal angles. We have the total station. This device, it can measure the horizontal distances, and also it can measure the vertical and the horizontal angles. So the total station, it can do the job of the steel tape and the job of the theodolite. We have the level. We use this one in order to know the difference in heights or in elevation. It's a very important device. And also we have the GPS, through which you are going to know the position or the coordinate of a point. So we are going to use all of this device in order to measure distances, angles, and positions. So why do we need surveying? In order to answer this question, we are going to go through this example, which is construction of a building. So let's say that I want to construct a building for a certain site. So what is needed to construct a building? Before construction of the building, I need to know the site selection. I need to select a certain site, okay, a certain area. Then I need to know the topography of that area. Through the topography, I'm going to know the elevation of that area. Maybe the site is located on a mountain, okay, or
that will be
or any other.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, that topography, I mean, that'll probably do. I mean, that first bit just says it all, but yeah, it goes on. So that topography is in reference to sea level, 0 degrees sea level, height above and below.
Okay. So let me ask a question. Because you're viewing a video of, what's the title of it? What's the title of this video again?
Principles of Surveying, Lecture 1, Introduction to Surveying. By
Introduction to Surveying.
Bloody hell.
So,
let me just give it fully. He's worked on this video. I need to actually plug it if you're going to ask. Let me do it properly, please. Principles of Surveying, Lecture 1, Introduction to Surveying by Ahmed Sadoun. There is a link that I'll put now going by in the chat. Sorry to do it in full, Neil. Go ahead.
Okay, so because it's an introduction and it covers the basics, does that make it wrong or laughable?
No. It's what we do to build things.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, to hand wave how Earth gets measured or decry it as mere approximations for convenience is what liars do to defend their globe cult. You need an example? Simon Dan, who says, yeah, we use flat approximations for convenience. No, we don't. We measure Earth flat with horizontal distances and elevation angles to build things. That's the reality. Like I say, your guru dilutes things down with lies so that he can perpetuate a globe faith, keep you in his cult.
Yeah, if I make a video introduction to playing the bass guitar, what I'm going to give you is how to play the bass guitar, the basics. Right? It's not going to be wrong. So to laugh because it's entitled Introduction is just foolish on your part.
But in reality, Neil, when you're doing that, you're actually learning how to play piano.
When do you approximate something the opposite of what you think it is?
Oh, I actually bought up blueprints. So when Dave exampled blueprints, I've created blueprints for a building that still exists. It's still standing. It's been built. Now, obviously, I didn't lay the bricks, although my grandfather was a bricklayer. That wasn't my skill. But I did draw up a blueprint on a flat piece of paper, and it got built.
No way.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Quilmore Hill Farm Cottage, it's called. Nevertheless, I've made a blueprint. So what? The point is, when it got built, when the builders came, they didn't say, you're right if we just approximate it for convenience. Because being paid to build something would involve measurements that are accurate, not approximations for convenience like Dan lied about.
Yeah, but if you're building on something that you think is spherical, why would you approximate in a flat way? That's like a line curving as long as it curves in a straight way.
Because it's easier.
That's just as stupid.
Dan being a liar. Just Dan lying to protect his globe cult. He's a liar. There's no other words for it. You don't. You measure Earth flat with horizontal distances, as the surveyor just detailed, when giving the basics of how we measure Earth to build things on it. Not approximations, not for convenience. Flat Earth, level distances. That's what he just detailed. Because that's what you'd be expected to do if you were being paid to do it.
Yep. He's giving out incorrect information. That's what he's doing. He's trying to teach an audience, and he's giving out false information. The video needs taking down.
Yeah, I agree. Dan's video needs protesting. We need to go and spam Dan's video as misinformation, because it is. It's just lies. Dan's just lying to his audience, an audience that the algorithm of YouTube will promote him to lie to them. Because YouTube, like Dan, they don't care. They don't care how stupid you are. As long as the rhetoric of a sphere Earth gets punted, they don't care which useful idiot does it. In this case, Dan. They don't care that Dan's lying to you. They'll promote him to do it. Because again, they haven't got your best interests at heart, have they? They don't care that that's not how Earth gets measured when Dan lies about the approximations for convenience. It's not how Earth gets measured, though, is it? It's not how we built things for hundreds, if not thousands of years on Earth's flat surface when measuring linear, flat, horizontal distances and elevation angles. We just do those things so we can actually physically build things, not approximate anything.
Yeah, but I remember when I first came into this genre, shall we say, they would say, yeah, because it's easier to do it on a flat surface, or for convenience, because it's so, it's so difficult on a ball. We do it flat.
And I've been asking them since then, like, how is it easier to pretend something is the opposite of what it is and approximate it that way?
I don't know.
How is that easier?
I say,
Exactly.
yes, we do. That's right. You can agree with them. I mean, I could take that. I originally did take that stance with Dan. Just agree. Yeah, so for convenience, we use flat approximations. Okay? You can call it that if you like. It's the incorrect terminology, aka a lie by Dan, because we're actually measuring horizontal distances to build things. In this example, when surveying. Dan's a liar in that regard, but you can just take as read what he says, weaselly though it might be. So you say, for convenience, we use flat approximations because it's easier. Yeah, it is. Easier to measure the flat surface of Earth. Because it's flat. It'd be very difficult if it wasn't flat, but it's easier because it is flat. That's why we measure it that way. For convenience.
Yep. And it's not just us saying it. You can go to educational forums. You can contact professional people in surveying, in flight. In most of the areas we talk about, there's professionals saying exactly the same thing. It's not us making this up. It's what is happening in life, in reality. This is how it's dealt with. In measurement,
That's
measuring.
an introduction.
But that's it.
It's the basics. It's the basics. It's the foundation. It's an introduction to the basics, which is the foundation of measuring Earth. And what words has he used? Horizontal, level, plumb, angles. There is no mention of curvature at any point in that video. And why not? Because he wasn't measuring curvature.
At which point the
one
discussion...
deck, when you get to volume 5, I guess that's when they're going to tell you, it's really a bowl.
Maybe, but at this point, once you get to the stage that we're at, which is the Earth does get measured flat, convincing the other side with a cult-like faith in a ball that defies the Earth's measurements becomes moot. It becomes utterly inconsequential. It doesn't matter that you believe something contrary to the facts in terms of Earth measurement. Matters not. Yeah? Me convincing you is irrelevant. People who approach me via email after calling Dave Fugly, they have this attitude. Why aren't you convincing me that Earth is flat? Because I don't need to. It won't make any difference to how Earth gets measured if you understand it or not. You're not measuring it, are you? Dan's not measuring Earth. Oh yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah, he measured 1,000 elevation angles off a flat surface, didn't he? So when it came to Dan's flat Earth measurements, again, no actual practical use for his 1,000 flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the sun. But he still measured Earth flat. But when the professionals measure Earth flat, they build things and do practical things with their flat Earth measurements. The numpties that believe in a cult-like ball to stand on that defies those measurements, it's inconsequential if they know that or not. Earth will still be measured flat, regardless if I convince you. But you come to me like, I've got to convince you. I don't. Yeah, I don't care if you know. Go back to your ball faith. It's where you belong. Yeah? Most of you idiots who watch Simon Dan deserve to be in that cult. And I'm glad you are. Stay there. I don't want to convince you of the reality we measure. The people measuring it are still building things on Earth flat. We're still navigating and sailing across Earth flat. The flights are still measured off sea level when in level flight parallel with the ground. That's never going to change because I haven't convinced you of it. They're facts. So it matters that you say you're not convincing me. That's because I don't want to. Like, I want you to stay a baller, yeah? So I can mock you for your pathetic, cuck-like faith. Because it's sad. It amuses me. So I don't want to convince you. Belief is not a prerequisite. We don't need you to believe in a flat earth that's measured to build things. It's not necessary. We don't need your faith here. Your ball requires your faith, though. And you think it's comparable, don't you? You think a flat earth that's measured that way is comparable to your ball faith. And it requires some guru like Dan, equivalents in me, to convince you. That's not necessary. Earth will be measured flat whether you know it or not.
You know what I'm realizing? It's a strong, strong cult. It has a stronghold on people.
That's why it started when you're a baby. You can't even form words, but you already think you're on a ball with water sticking to the outside of it. How ridiculous is that? It's the most ridiculous religion ever.
And you'll maintain it and defend it to death if you're given it from birth. If you're stupid and don't look into how Earth actually gets measured like we have. But those stupid people don't need our convincing, unless they're actually going to be building and surveying things, in which case they'll just take horizontal distance measurements and elevation angles with respect to a horizontal plane of reference on or near Earth's surface, end quote, a surveyor. Because that's how it's done. So does it matter that they don't believe it? I don't care if you believe it or not. We're still going to sail across Earth flat. We'll still have flights in level flight, parallel with sea level, measured with elevation angles. Measured with elevation angles. Measured with pitch data.
Well,
until you have to make videos like Dan looking all painful saying, well, let me level with you. Yeah. Surveyors do take flat approximations. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's lying when he says that. That's the point.
He also said we've got curved sea level.
Nathan, when you said why you're not challenging Dan, because in that video I didn't hear anything about approximations. If, say, you, QE, Brian, you're presenting something that I look into and I see that it's not correct, I'm going to challenge it. Why aren't people challenging Dan?
Because they're more stupid than he is and they fear that Dan might get the better of them mentally. Because even though he's stupid, he's slightly more intelligent than they are. So they're too scared to challenge their guru. Stupidity is the problem.
It's sad. They don't want to lose the ball, but they, in one breath, they'll give you, it's locally flat, even though it's a ball. And I think we should maybe find something on what I'm going to say next and what I said earlier. They'll say, well, it's locally flat, but if it's measured on a larger scale, curvature is taken into account. And like I said, account is the key word. It's not measured, it's accounted for. And we could go through that on larger scales, because I've done it. You can go through the equipment used and what the equipment's designed for. None of the equipment on larger scale surveying is designed to measure curvature. It's all to do with measuring distances between points and angles, same as on the smaller scale. Yeah? Then things are calculated and mathematically into curvature after that. WGS 84. Brian knows more on it, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying.
But then you got a guy coming in saying that he knows about instrumentation better than you know about instrumentation. And they allow for things like curvature.
Hey Nathan, in the side chat of FED, I put a video that I've been putting in across servers for years now. But that's one of the surveyors that to see every day at a big job site. And one day I just went up to ask him. And at first he's like, hey man, the earth's flat, man. So don't ask questions like that. But so I was like, dude, what? I'm like, all right. Let me get my phone out. I want to record you. I need to get this documented. He's like, all right. So then that's why I recorded him saying this. And if you watch the video or, later or whatnot, I could just say what he says. I said, how many times have you accounted for the Earth curve? And he says, as many times as I've been to the moon. As a joke, right? So he's a surveyor, For years I've been using this video, telling like other people, like not all surveyors are going by the globe. You don't have to. They'll argue it's in the manuals for the surveyors. It's right here. They'll pull up a PDF. And again, yeah, it says it, but they don't need to do that because that's not the way it works in the real world. It's only when they get into their calculations and they pencil whip it. That's when things change. But in reality, they don't have to do that. So I felt I wanted to throw that in there for you.
Sorry, mate. Just saying, even no words have to come out of his lips, really. Just let's have a look at the equipment he was using. He was probably using a Lite, which is designed to measure angles and elevation angles, not to measure curvature. He might have been using a total station, which also measures horizontal distances between 2 points and elevation angles and angles. He was probably using a level, which is, again, to measure level, not curves. So all the equipment around him, the tools being used, are not in any way, shape or form designed to measure curvature in any instance.
Let me ask the host a question. So, Nathan, if we go to video, say lecture number 5, and it starts talking about a sphere and gravity, does that negate what was said in lecture number 1?
No. No, obviously not. Or it wouldn't be lecture 1, would it?
Yeah, once you get, listen, they try to skip past it again, even in the videos. Well, let's ignore the first part where we talked about horizontal and flat and, all of these other things, not pertaining to a ball, but a flat surface. And let's jump to here, how it's done on a globe. And they'll show you a diagram of a surface that's curved. And this is what they hang their hat on, a picture.
We've always had that trouble, haven't we? Even in the celestial navigation, we've got the dangling dingleberries and things like that. You're going to get stuff like that in manuals because we've all been brainwashed to believe we're on a globe. So it is in books. It is, Nathan read AI's definition of, I can't remember, it was a theodolite or something, and they've changed getting a horizontal or an angle from a curve. It's altered. So they're trying to push this out. We're all being monitored of what we're searching, and things are changing to go against what we're saying.
Yeah,
so
that man
you see all these things.
That man even
There's
said when
this,
we're going over celestial navigation. Hold on. That man explained it to us when we were going over celestial navigation. There's going to be stuff in here where they're pushing a ball. You just got to see where it is and know what they're doing. I mean, this is obvious to a duck.
There's this guy who says he's a surveyor and he's a professional surveyor, and he says that he's always on TikTok. I think his name's Baron Rutledge or something like that. And he's always talking about like how, that he has to use the globe and everything like that when he's doing his things. But I have seen that guy. I've actually sat and watched one of his live streams, and he had a marker like, over a mile across this, lake or whatever. And he wrote down his prediction. He's like, look we could even predict what the angle, what the arc seconds and what the arc minutes and arc seconds will be because I'm going to use the globe. He's like, I could predict it. This guy is so disingenuous and such a liar. I watched him too. He kept tinkering and kept stalling and moving something around, and I can't get it, and let me try this. And he literally was buying time until the object in the distance, obviously, over time, as it gets hotter through the morning and to the afternoon, he's literally wasting time till his crosshairs are matching up to his shot, and then the arc minutes and seconds are what he wrote down. I literally watched this disingenuous liar do that, bro, on live stream. And he just kept stopping. Oh, well, let me try it. Let me see. He took like 30 minutes to get the shot. But all he was doing was just waiting till the crosshairs lined up.
Seconds and minutes is an elevation. It's an elevation angle measurement you're talking about, mate. Arc seconds and minutes is an elevation angle measurement.
Yeah, he's saying, I can predict how these flat Earth measurements will work on a globe. That's an oxymoron.
Exactly. Well, he was just waiting until the crosshairs was on the target eventually, and then he's like, "Ah, got it. Here we go. Check it out." He's like,
Yeah, but
"Just
did
as
you hear
I
what he
just
just
as I
said?
predicted."
Not cherry picking
Stupid.
at all. But meanwhile, like I say, if you're going to say that they match, what are you going to match it to? If it's an angle, it's going to be described, if you're describing it in a ball paradigm, on the equatorial plane inside a ball. That's where the arc seconds match up to, if they're going to be called arc seconds, because they're angles off a plane. Well, which plane? There is no plane on a ball. Well, you've got to use the equatorial plane inside the ball to make the globe Earth a giant glorified protractor to have arc seconds at all. But you are on a flat plane every single time you use that description of an angle measurement. So to say you can use the globe to predict them is nonsense. They're flat Earth measurements. You can't predict flat Earth measurements with a ball.
Let me give you an example. Just listening to the show now. Hello, everyone. Hey, Nathan.
Hello.
Simon Dan, because how are things, everyone? Simon Dan, recently, when it was pointed out to him something to do with the angular size of that mountain in that celestial theodolite thing that's going around in flat Earth circles. Nathan, the thing you addressed, and I had addressed, the angular size of the mountain, right? He said, well, there'd only be a small difference between that and the globe. It would only be this much, let's just say, of an angle. It would be, I think it was 3 point something something or 2 point something something degrees, as opposed to 2 point blah 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 degrees for a flat Earth, right? What they're doing, just on the back of what you just said, Nathan, because that's why I had to come in fast, is they're just removing the amount of height that would be removed by our curve, and then using parallel verticals, because verticals are parallel zeniths, because verticals are, that's an oxymoron, because verticals are always parallel. Parallel zeniths, not diverging zeniths, and the horizontal distance between those two zeniths, and those two zeniths are vertical. That's what they're doing. And I understand exactly what was just said there, because I know the exact nonsense that was Alba who was it was speaking there about that surveyor?
Aquafon.
Aquafon, was it? Sorry. Yeah, listen, I watched Jesse Kozlowski do that nonsense back in 2016. They're all at the same nonsense, the exact same nonsense. When it comes to actually measuring the globe, they take a very small amount of space and they mess with the calculations as much as possible, and then they hijack a flat Earth to do it. Then they're using a flat Earth and they try and hide that they're doing that. They're never using the curve. Never. So
Ruhif measured the globe. Ruhif measured the globe using a theodolite. What are you talking about?
Did you just say Ruhif measured the globe using a theodolite, a flat Earth only tool?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, theodolites measure angles.
Even earlier, with one deck was saying, he was saying that over a bigger distance they account for curvature. No, he wasn't saying that they do. He's just saying that's the rhetoric. And then Neil was saying the same thing. Talking about rhetoric he had heard, where they say they allow for it. So that's a count and allow, not measure then. So not measuring this supposed curvature, because they're not measuring it. That's why I think sorry, go on with it.
No, go on, Brian. You're all right. Sorry, mate.
I'm just saying that's why I did the video on Mount Everest, the measurement of the height of Mount Everest, the angular height of Mount Everest from the Kathmandu Valley. That's why I did that from 100 miles away. Because 100 miles away, the measurement of the height of Mount Everest above the elevation of Kathmandu Valley, right, the angle you get only matches, and will only ever match flat Earth, because you're using a right angle triangle. That's what's used for the angular measurement, for the angular size measurement of all objects over any distance. Right, that's what they use. When they go from mountain to mountain or a mountain range, no matter what it is, it's always right angle triangles. They're always, when they're measuring heights, all based off elevations, they're all off the same horizontal baseline called mean sea level. They don't ever do anything to do with a globe. And anyone that says they do are absolute liars. Go on one next time.
I was saying, I think I was just going to say that I think that was the key word of the show today. That small clip of the surveyor what I posted, what Nathan went through. It was all about measurements and the tools used to measure. Yeah, not approximate, not calculate. Yeah, nothing to do with mathematics or equations. It was hardcore physical measurements. Yeah, and I think it's a good word to take away from today. Measurements, actual measurements.
Well, I have to say it, although people may not be happy about me saying it. I have to shout out the Ben. Maybe not now, because I don't know what kind of stuff he's up to these days. But in the past, he focused purely on measurements, focused purely on surveying. Ballers had nothing. They had nothing. He got nothing but character assassination. They had nothing. They were attacking the fact that his son was autistic and all this other nonsense. Like, they were attacking the fact that his son was using at one point a P1000. Like, they were attacking that wasn't really that good a camera. As if how good a camera as something is has nothing to do with anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, so in fairness, when he was on the ball, he really was on the ball because he wasn't on the ball. If you understand.
But now he's on the 69-degree nonsense.
Yeah, so he's getting all that. I don't know why he's on, because these days I don't listen. But he used to be very good.
Oh man, are you talking about Ruhith?
No, he's talking about Bev.
No, we're talking about Bev. He's measured the Earth to not be flat.
I was gonna tell you guys. So 2 nights ago, I was over in Earth Awakenings, and I was talking. Ruhith was there, and this guy is so disingenuous. And we've talked to him for so many years at this point, right? But he's still the same person. I asked him straight up, because I was gonna debunk their globe, mathematical construct with the math that they use to construct it. And I asked him, what's the formula to find out the radius of a sphere? He told me 69 nautical miles per 1 degree. I said, no. That's not the formula for a sphere. Because think about it. If you have a basketball and you want to find out the radius of it, you can't use 60 nautical miles on a basketball. I go, no, what's just the formula? He's like 60 nautical miles per. He wouldn't get away from that. And he knows why.
Let me get it straight. Ruhith told you that in order to calculate a sphere, you measure 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles off a flat planar surface to get the angle. That's what he told you. Yeah, that's right, Ruhith. Yeah, your ball formula is derived from a flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurement that gives you 1 degree of declination of Polaris for every 60 nautical miles you recede away from it, off a flat Earth. That's how it's measured. So Ruhith's correct. His ball faith comes from a flat Earth elevation angle measurement to Polaris. That's right. Welcome to flat Earth, Ruhith.
Yeah, he won't.
Yeah, it was just comical. He would not say the formula. And then finally, after pulling teeth and breaking arms, he finally, agreed to the d squared minus the height squared divided by 2 times the height. Then finally, he was like, yeah. And then we got to the point where, okay, well then with the Black Swan, you must believe that we're on a 264,400 mile, radius.
Sorry to
see that.
Sorry, just gotta ask Rufy.
He missed it.
Just gotta ask Rufy. Just 1 sec. How's that geometric horizon working out for you, Rufy? Good? Good?
Exactly. Exactly.
Again, he was saying apparently us flat earthers have had a big problem since 2017 with the calculation of the 60 nautical miles per degree.
What, the flat Earth elevation angle measurement to Polaris? No, I'm quite cool with that. It's proof of a flat Earth being measured with an angle off surface level. We've got a problem with that. No. Ruhith's made it clear that that's what's used to create the globe according to him. I mean, he went to a formula that used height. Height's useful only on a flat Earth because it's perpendicular to a plane of reference. Like up, down. That's as Ruhith. You don't get to use that flat Earth measurement of height in your ball formula because you'll need a flat Earth to measure in order to acquire it, won't you? Just once more, just for Rufi.
Yeah.
How's that geometric horizon working out for you there, Rufi? Is it good? Yeah? Working out well?
I guarantee he wouldn't get 2 words out on this platform because we'd stop him dead because he'd start immediately off a flat plane.
Well, he did, didn't he? 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles is a flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurement. Ruhith knows that. Ruhith knows Earth's measured flat. To create his ball, he's told this gentleman explicitly 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles. So a flat Earth measurement gives you your ball then. Right, Rufy? Yeah, we know. We were acutely aware quite some time ago. Right, any more for any more?
The Earth is flat.
Certainly is. And on that stupendous note, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Next.
Yeah, so we've got that. Like Nathan said in the show, whatever comes after that with this 60 nautical miles or 69 statute, that's just some sort of calculation. So we didn't make that calculation up. It works apparently, but in the initial step, the first basic step was an elevation angle measurement, which required a horizontal baseline. Measurement being the key word, yeah.
But not an approximation. Then. So Dan's a liar then.
Yeah, we're just trying to say why they don't stop Ruhif right in his tracks. Why take him around the rigmarole? Just stop him dead. Once he uses it, stop him.
Thing is, though, it is slippery, isn't it, for some people? You know, Nathan and the other guys are great in debate. I've had battles with Ruhif. I'm not like Nathan, but some people, he can sort of sway them, and his debate tactics can sort of
them with mathematics. That's what he does.
Exactly, yeah. Brian. But
he was trying. He was trying for sure, and I held him to the fire, and I didn't let him go. And then he ended up finally just leaving because he realized that I'm not going to let him pull his little voodoo tricks. Matter of fact, you know what his solution was that's why we don't measure things on the ground and we go high elevation. That was his answer. Oh my gosh, I was laughing. I was like, "This is comical, dude." Like you're wrecked. He was close.
Again, sorry, just for Ruhif's benefit, from our friend Ahmed Sadoun. Measuring distances, angles, and positions on or near the surface of Earth. What was that Ruhif lied about? That's why we don't use the surface of Earth when surveying. No, Ruhif's also a liar. May he be condemned to hell for lying.
Yeah,
you're measuring the surface of Earth. That's what surveying is. It's land measurement.
Yep.
What's he talking about?
It's just a liar, a disingenuous scumbag.
No, Brian, the other ground. The ground that's not the ground, that's the ground they're measuring.
I'll translate. No, hold on, guys. Stop. I did it on the live show, but I'll do it again. I'll translate. It's not my globe ground. That's what he actually means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there's two things they must do, right? There's first two steps that they must do when they're trying to produce a globe measurement. Number one, use a horizontal plane, regardless of the size and distance. Number two, deny diverging zeniths. That's the two steps. The second step is always the non-adherence to the divergence of their zeniths. That's the second step every time, which means they're using parallel zeniths, also known as verticals. They outright deny it. Even Dan tried to be sneaky, as I said earlier, when he tried to say, the difference over that distance was only be a little bit anyway. But they're not measuring that, Dan. And the little bit you're talking about is not what it would be. Because when you bring in your diverging zeniths, Dan, that changes it dramatically. You know?
This is what I was saying, Brian. I don't know if you was in earlier. Nathan went over that little surveying video. My point was with Nathan and the guys, you know, let's start looking at, you know, you're talking about Dan, what Dan says and what Simon Dan says and what Glolum says. We're not interested. We shouldn't be focusing fully on them. What we should be doing is looking at. I know you do professional videos, but you're in the panel. Bring in some professional videos going over these topics like you're talking about, and just point out that this is what everybody's saying. This is what the professionals are saying. This is what's happening. This is what a surveyor is saying about surveying. This is the tools that are used. This is how bring an aircraft one in from somebody who knows about level flight. I know you say it and we all say it, but let's get videos up of everybody saying it in reality.
Well, in fairness, I have two things. Number one, thanks for the over-the-top compliment about me doing professional videos. I don't know. Professionals. That was pretty good. But secondly, in fairness, Bev was doing that years back. That was what Bev was doing. It was focused. Now, in fairness, there was a lot of things Bev wasn't focusing on, but Bev was only interested in surveying because he had a certificate of some kind in surveying. So that's not a bad idea. We should be doing that. We should be getting those videos and watching those professional videos. Like, I mean, I think we should have been doing that a long time ago. Because it's not that we don't know, it's that that is what the public needs. There you go. There is the professionals. That's what they do. You know, there's a couple of videos to do with surveying I'm considering doing myself. And I will be doing them. But I'm not a surveyor. So people, even though I'm showing the absolute facts, because I'm not a surveyor, right, someone can decide to ignore it. But the problem with that is, if there's someone who is a surveyor, like Jesse Kozlowski, who's a complete and utter liar, and he says something, they can decide to believe it just because he's a surveyor. That doesn't mean he's not a lawyer.
Exactly, Brian.
You know what I mean? But I know for a fact. Yeah.
Because this guy, the video we're reviewing now, lecture 1, they want us to go to lecture 4 where it talks about a globe. I mean, just because they talk about a globe doesn't mean a globe exists. Just because the diagram on the bottom shows a curved surface, that doesn't mean it's reality.
No,
that's just I'm just saying that's a dangling dingleberry that we've all looked at in the celestial navigation books. It doesn't exist in reality. It's a picture to draw your mind to a globe that you've been programmed to believe in. But all they're using with the dangling dingleberry is the horizontal line on top of it to get your elevation angle from. That's all that's used, horizontal level.
I did hear you say, just 1 second, I just say one dick. I did hear you say earlier on, one dick, about what they do, about the measurements they make, and then adding in globe afterwards. That's how, when it comes to surveying, that's how they use what the ridiculously called spherical triangles, because they measure everything with actual triangles, then they add the R value. And what happens is, because they're measuring big areas with geodetic surveying, I should say, because they're measuring big areas, what happens is that when they add in the R value, the triangle they measured, and either of those sides, or those 3 sides of that triangle, could be 30, 40, 60 miles in length. They add in the curvature, that pulls those lines out the way, and they end up in the middle with an area that doesn't exist. And that's what they call spherical excess. Right? Because it's an area that doesn't exist. But that's what they do. But when they need to use that, they have to bring it back to its original triangle, which they have to use it for purposes of anything. They can't use the code.
That's what I was saying, and I think on the next one we should try and find something like that with some professional, because I found documents on that if you want to call it Haberstein formula or WGS 84, whatever they use. They're using mathematics to change that straight line horizontal angle measurement into a curved one. Now, somewhere we'll have a video, there'll be a lecture on it from a professional, and we can point out that this is what's being done. We're not just making this up. It is written down in documents in WGS 84, they tell you. It's just a mathematical concept to fit the geodetic fucking globe system, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So we can find that and go through it and point out FED isn't just saying this. This is what they do.
Well, the one thing too that I like to point out, because you'll have the McToons and the Fight the Flat Earth, then they'll tell their audience, the lie, and then their audience kind of just goes out, across the internet and goes out spraying that lie. But one thing that they always try to say is, oh, we have to account for it in building bridges, and we have to do this. And I think their audience has to understand that is just a mathematical construct. Like, for instance, for the Verrazano-Narrows Bridge, they say, oh, there's a 1 5/8 inch gap because the towers are diverging because they took into account the Earth curve. That's complete nonsense. The only way that those vertical towers are diverging is in the math, not physically. They're still just vertical. Like they're they're only off mathematically. Yeah, it is. Look at if you do the math, they would.
Just a second.
Yeah.
No, 1 second. No, this is something it's probably Neil said 2015. It's actually about 2016 or something. No, a lot of bridges do have the stanchions, right? Let's just say there's 2 main stanchions, and they're slightly divergent from each other. The reason for that is nothing to do with curvature. It's got to do with weight. So when there's a maximum weight on the center of the bridge, that pulls the stanchions forward.
Brian, I know.
One second.
I know. I used to build bridges, Brian. I know. You're talking. You're preaching to the choir.
But here can finish.
I know. No, but for the Verrazano Bridge, they didn't build him with cant in it. I know what he's talking about. It's called cant. They didn't build it. Although you're right. They do. You're right.
I've just got to step in. Sorry, Brian and Apocryphon. This is fantastic information you're dishing out. So I just want to hear individuals talking though, because otherwise it's useless to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that the. Oh, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
No, you first.
Okay, so what I'm going to say is, yes, we do build bridges with cant. It's called cant, and it's where they lean them. It's an engineering, for the structural integrity, like you said. That way they don't collapse in on themselves. If all the noon traffic with filled trucks stopped in the center, yes, they do build bridges like that. That we in areas where it has to be, and we when we do build them, that is taken into consideration by the engineers, obviously. But specifically the Verrazano's Bridge. That doesn't have cant. Those towers are vertical and they're positioned that way, but it's only in the mathematical. So what they did is they took from the surveyor's numbers, and then they can get the distances and then the heights, and it's only a mathematical thing where it's 1 inch and 5/8 off, because we built the 2.3 mile bridge in LAX for the people mover. And there was zero curvature of the earth accounted for. So we do it for 2.3 miles. There's no curvature accounted for. Over there, it's not even a mile over there. That bridge is only like a 0.8 of a mile. So, and there's no curvature calculated in reality, only mathematically. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry,
Brian.
Just a second, one. No, now I see what you mean. I thought you were talking about a bridge where it's out and out. What is the term you use?
It's called cant. It's CANT. When we build bridges with cant, it's to keep them out. Yeah.
So no, you're talking about a bridge with just straight stanchions. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Where there isn't any cant, it's just flat. Yeah. But the thing about this is that even if you're talking about the concrete that goes into the stanchions, you could measure a difference between those stanchions of an inch or so. If you think about that can happen with concrete. If you think about the amount of concrete goes into the stanchions, you could measure that there's an inch or so of difference. You could measure an inch or so of difference purely to do with the concrete. But the middle of those stanchions are totally level. They're totally vertical. No doubt about it. I'm just saying that people could find a niche somewhere purely based off of tolerances that happens with concrete and stuff. But there is no way those stanchions, unless there's cant, as you say, there's no way those stanchions are not vertical. They are absolutely vertical. That's how they're designed to be. Now, the ballers can take these numbers, and the ballers can come back and say, there should be blah, 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 right, amount of curvature, and there is, and here are the numbers. But they're just taking the numbers. Are the surveyors claiming this? The people who survey and build it, or the builders, the engineers, are they claiming that?
People who are
whoever wrote the article is the one that said that they had to account for the curvature of the earth. But again, that's not true, because when you're
and the builders.
What was that?
Hang on.
What was that?
Not measure it then.
If it's not the engineers and the builders, then who cares what some other idiot has to say?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
We've heard that for years. We've heard that nonsense for years. Right? I've had them present stuff to me for years, real with all them. Yeah, look at this stuff here, and it's like, right, who did that come from? Or this wrandom person, who wasn't involved in the construction, the engineering, the architecture, anything. Do you know what I mean? So they have nothing. They're just trying to mathematically add in curvature.
Brian,
I know you know that, but I'm just saying.
Brian, these things were brought up in 2015, 2016. Really? You're gonna tell me curvature appears on a Verrazano Bridge because it's off by 1 3/4 inches? That is ridiculous.
Well, there's no divergence to the zeniths used when they're measuring the angular size of Mount Everest from 100 miles away. So how come there's a divergence to the zenith to these two stanchions, supposedly, but yet within a mile, but 100 miles there's none? when it comes to the actual thing, that, you know what I mean? Because there's no such thing as divergent verticals. There can't be. It's in complete opposition to vertical. Anyway, sorry.
The other thing, I'm just saying the other thing. I know Apocryphon keeps saying it, but yeah, you keep saying the word accounted for. Yes, that's what we're saying. The account for curvature. They do it on. They say that they have to do it on large surveying projects. They're not measuring curvature. They account for it to fit in with the WGS 84, which is the World Geodetic System 1984. They have to calculate it because everybody thinks level of curve. So they have to give them curve measurements. It's accounted for. It's not measured.
Calculations,
not measurements. Yeah, calculations. Sorry. Yeah.
I like to call it pencil whip. I like to say they pencil whip it because that's all they're taking flat Earths, or horizontal, vertical positions, and then they're going to add something that isn't there in reality, but only mathematically.
Exactly.
They pencil whip it, and then all of a sudden you get what they say it is, but that's not true at all.
Yeah, we know. We know
they're
this.
accounting for something that they've said that's too big to measure. That later on they tell you they're accounting for that. At first the first thing they tell you is it's too big to measure. That's weird.
Before you go on, Nathan, I put a picture of Master B. When you get a chance, can you put it up and go over it?
Sure.
And one day, that thing where they're trying to, what they actually do is, when you hear the term, officially, when you hear it or see it, when you read it, and you will come across it because they refer to it as surveying, GPS, all these other things. Local vertical and local horizontal. They are what they convert to the WGS 84. These local verticals and local horizontals. These things are when all that has been measured and laid out or used, they then convert it to the WGS 84. You know what I mean? It's complete not a joke, right? So after all the actual real world stuff has happened, you then mathematically convert it to a map, right? That's to a datum, and that suddenly makes it a globe. Because you've now diverged all the verticals that you have to have parallel when you're actually building and laying out and surveying.
Yeah, it's measured flat, horizontal level, and then there's calculations thereafter. We've known this for a while. This is what Apocryphon's saying it now, so we're just telling him we know what is but like I say, Brian, we could get some. We need to go through this. This is documented. It's not being hidden. That it's measured horizontally and level, and then there's a calculation that takes place after to turn it into a curve. They're quite open about it. They've got a system called WGS 84, and we have to abide to that. It's a system that's used, but there's calculations and maths involved after the measurements of flat Earth. We'll find something on it.
Yeah. That's. I mean, that's exactly. Like you said, we've known that, and we've been. Like I said, I've been telling people this for years now. Elevations that are taken, and you get a benchmark, and then you have a horizontal transfer of a straight line that's been leapfrogged over and over for thousands of miles inland from the original mean sea level across the country. That's our baseline. We are parallel to mean sea level in anywhere on the topography of the Earth across from sea to shining sea, and even across the pond over to other countries and everything, other continents. But it's like I don't know why. It's I guess because they're just stuck in the paradigm, in the cult. So they're like, oh no, but it has to be curved. They're crazy, man.
Yeah, but just a quick, just 1 minute though, Brian. Just a quick, sir. Yes, WGS 84 is fundamentally based on mathematics, as it is a mathematical model that describes the Earth shape as a geocentric oblique ellipsoid and provides the mathematical framework for a global coordinated system. So it's telling you it's just a mathematical model.
Construct.
It's not a measurement.
Matter of fact, even in the Girard's theorem, how they use it for in the geodetic surveying, they are and it was crazy. McToon was just talking about this last night in his stream, showing up the numbers on his screen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and then just lying to everybody. On the left side, it shows like the observed angle, the actual thing, but because it doesn't match up with the globe because these triangles have to have access if it's going to be a globe. So what they do in the 1800s, Girard's theorem, he created where then what you do is you just add a formula to what you get, and it will give you the difference. So that way you can divide it amongst the three angles, and then all of a sudden you have three new points with the arc measurements, arcs and minutes and seconds, degrees, minutes and seconds. Sorry, and then they call that the spherical axis once they subtract it from what they observed. Dude, it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know how they get away with this. Like, but people need to see it.
The reason they get away with it is because they want it. So Toon has searched out that conversion so we can present it. So you're looking at it going, oh my God, you're converting it. He's going, check it out. This is how you convert it. That's how he's doing it. He wants that process to exist because it justifies his faith. So it's soothing to him and his audience.
Yep.
You know what? Just on that topic, I made a video about spherical excess there. I made a couple of them about the whole thing about spherical triangles not existing, blah, blah, blah. But I showed this one article from the surveying site where there was 5 or 7, I think it could be 5 or 7 triangles that were all together. They were actual triangles, straight lines. Now, you cannot put any 3 straight lines meeting at 3 vertices together and have more than 180 degrees. It is impossible, right, to have that. But this guy had all these triangles, actual ones now, straight lines, right, laid out and all connecting to each other. And I added up all the internal angles of each one of those triangles. And each one of them, right, the sum of the 3 angles within each triangle came to just less than 180 degrees. And the reason was so they could add in spherical excess and come to 180. Because the guy knew in his head there can't be more than 180 degrees in a triangle. Yet he's trying to make it so there can be 180 degrees in a sphere, a curved triangle, right? And it was so ridiculous. And this is a professional surveying site. It was so ridiculous that one of the ballers who has spent years trolling me or coming in, not so much trolling me, coming in and arguing with me, blah, 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 right? Rather than, he's not so much of a troll, but he'll argue with you a bit. For years, he's come into my channel onto the videos, and even he said, yeah, that's ridiculous. That makes no sense. Even he admitted it. But this guy, he had 5 or 7 triangles, and with the internal angles didn't add to 180 degrees for any of them. That's the craziness they're dealing with. Just because someone is a professional or something doesn't mean that they're not crazy or they're not in what's the word, infected with this psychological disease or whatever. I don't know what way to describe it.
Yeah. Well, you've seen I don't know the guys. You've seen the guys on Celestial Navigation on YouTube. You'll have seen him yourself, where he's got the whiteboard and he's explaining about getting the elevation angle to the star, and he's got a picture of a globe and he's got a line running straight through it, and that's where he's taking his measurements from in hell. And he's describing this. This is his topic. He's a navigator. He knows about the sextants, and he's showing the audience that this is done from inside the globe. Now he knows he's not inside the globe. We all know we're not inside the globe.
Yeah, well, he's on that sailboat or that ship.
Angles from hell.
Hell's angles. Vroom, vroom.
But what I'm saying is this guy, I don't think that guy who's presenting that is trying to be like, I've got to dissect this globe, these bloody flat earthers. He's just giving a talk on celestial navigation, and he's describing the light from the sun coming in through the earth to the center of hell on the horizontal plane that he's going to be taking his angle from to position himself or to get his position on the surface of earth, probably at sea level. This is how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, there's a Celestial Navigator. I have a short video from this guy, and he is going through what a time zone is, right? And he lays out what a time zone is, but I think he says first But the Earth as a globe is not flat, right? He has to throw this thing, and I don't get me into that. I don't want to go into that. The Earth is definitely a globe, he says, right? But then he went into talking about time zones, laying out exactly what they are, completely debunking the existence of a globe. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're in complete contradiction. Complete contradiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, the Earth's a globe, but we're just going to be using it flat for the time being for this discussion and presentation. We're just going to be measuring it flat, using the horizontal baseline for the elevation angles, but it's definitely a globe.
For convenience.
For convenience. You know, it's so crazy what some people do, but they do it anyway. I mean, like to do what I was saying with the guy did with the triangles, or what the celestial navigation guys have been doing, we've just been talking about. It's the equivalent of breaking into a bank vault and then making sure to set off the alarm. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, now, before we go, we're going to set off this alarm. You know what I mean? It's like you're in two.
Just phone the police and get yourself arrested.
Yeah, I've called the police, lads. They're on their way. Do you know what I mean? Why are you even breaking into it?
Did you listen to the short surveying video we went over, Brian?
No, I was hearing in the background. It was it sounded like a man who was Indian or Pakistani, and I was in the shower and I was trying to hear it, but I couldn't hear it. But I listen. It's in Master Leader.
Nathan, put that picture up. I want you to go over it. It's from volume 4 of this guy.
On. Let's just get this squared away. Mahood's a good Irish name, isn't it?
It might be in a couple of years.
But yeah, I just think I know keep saying it's a good idea. Get these videos of professionals going over what we're actually saying.
Yeah, I'm a professional. I've been saying it for years.
More professionals that come out with these videos, the more people like Simon Dan have to come on video and cringe and look painful and agree with Nathan, somebody they can't stand, and say, yeah, let me level with you. Yeah, we take surveyors take flat approximations. Yeah, for convenience.
For convenience.
It looks very painful, Simon.
Well, it's easier to measure a table the way it actually is, as opposed to trying to turn it into a basketball. Isn't it, Chocolate?
I wonder if his own side ate him up for agreeing to that. I wonder if they're like, dude, why'd you say that? Why'd you admit the truth? You know, we're not supposed to be doing that.
I would say there's some serious backfighting goes on amongst them, but we never really hear about it. They always act like they're a united front, but I say now in the background they're bullying each other left, right, and centre.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So in the back channels and servers of Ballers, there's loads of bullying going on when they don't conform and cuck to the general religious standard. So I hear.
I would agree with Private. I would think somebody would have messaged him and told them, why did you say it? Why did you say it that way? You know, you could have said it some other way, because, you know, that's what they do. They find the best way to say something, to have the argument or try to seem like they're going to have one in order to try to convince their audience. So someone, I'm sure, hit him up. Was like, yo, why didn't you say it that way? Could have said it this other way. That made it didn't seem as obvious that you're agreeing with their side. I would bet money that happened.
Yeah, kind of like when I caught McToon, literally, he's saying how I guess they were doing a live stream, you know, while they were in Antarctica or at the hotel back on, you know, in South America somewhere or wherever they're at. And he literally, it's almost like he caught himself, but he goes, yeah, we couldn't really take measurements on the ice because, like water, he does the flat like gesture, like when you take two hands and you go like flat, like if you're saying safe, like, you know, you go straight across. He goes like water, and instead of saying flat, he goes like it's not Now hold on. Now I messed it up. I'm gonna go get the video and I'm gonna post it in the side chat because now I gotta watch it. I don't remember exactly what you said. Sorry. I don't want to mess it up because he smacked himself. He did. Let me. Yeah, hold on. I'm getting confused with Neil saying that stuff is flat. So he didn't say that though, but he made the gesture and then he called it something else. Here, let me find it and then I'll show you.
Curved level.
You say equidistant?
Let me see here. Copy link. I'll post it for you guys in the side. It's right at the beginning too. He does like the hand gesture. He goes like flat, but he didn't say flat. So hold on.
Weird when you think water curves around outside of surfaces.
All the same elevation.
What?
Oh, sorry. Did I cut somebody off? My bad. He goes, it's not like water. And he caught himself because he makes the flat gesture, but he says, where it's all the same elevation. Like, how
right
sneaky
there.
is that?
Elevation? Stop right there.
Yeah. That's what you'll see him. You'll see him right at the beginning.
And this is what he was saying about why they didn't make any measurements in Antarctica. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's saying why they didn't do that on the ice. Because somebody asked him, like, hey, why didn't you? And then he looks at Dave and they're you know what it reminds me of? Remember how the two astronauts are looking at each other when they're like being asked a question and they're like, uh-oh, like, how are we going to answer this? You answer it. No, you answer it. Like they look at each other like, you know, like that. They just look awkward. And then he says, yeah, because the ice, it's all irregular, not like water. And he does the flat. And he goes, where it's all the same elevation. He literally took flat and said same elevation because then all he can, to protect himself, he could just say, well, elevation is curved. That's all he did. That's all he has to do for his idiot followers.
So he can double speak his way around. All the same elevation is pretty self-explanatory. But he's saying all the same elevation means curved. No, it doesn't. That's
exactly.
It's the polar opposite of what the same elevation means.
Yeah. All the same elevation, according to him, then would mean that there's a hump in the middle. Then you can measure an elevation drop.
So if there's a hump in the middle, how's it all the same elevation?
Right, on that note, I'm going to round out this after show. So with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.